Hey guys. I wasn't going to go live, but I thought I'd come in here, wash my face, and chat with you guys. So some of you guys were asking me some really good questions. So I was making video responses to all of y'all's questions. So if you guys go to my account and you'll see the last like 7 videos I've done or 6 videos I've done are all answering y'all's questions. You know, questions about why did I get sober, or how did I get into using drugs, how did I meet my husband, all that kind of stuff. And I want to encourage you, if you have more questions, to go ahead and comment, okay? Because I'm going to be answering all of them. I'm going to be making videos for y'all, okay? And if you have questions right now, go ahead and put them in the chat. Put them in the chat, honey. Hey, Kyla, how you doing, girl? Kyla, you be proud of me. I had a turkey sandwich today with a small little thing of chips, a bottle of water, and then I had a little wrap, and that's it. That's what I've eaten today. And I didn't quite meet my calories today, but if I might have a little snack here in a second, as long as it's not past 7. That's my problem, is that I'll either overeat, undereat, so I got to get right in the middle and get my calories going. You know what I mean? But I'm proud of you too, because you've been doing good too. My calorie deficit is about 1,600. I had somebody figure it out for me that is a trainer, and so they took my weight and then times it by another number or something like that, and that's helping me. Hey, Beth. Oh, yeah, I'm actually using my Fitness Pal. And so I'm changing my eating habits is what I'm doing. It's really difficult, you guys, because I'm used to eating just like junk. You know what I mean? Just junk that doesn't have any nutritional value. You know what I mean? What's your question, Jackie? What's your question, honey? It didn't come up. Did you comment it? Really? Maybe I'll make some eating videos. Would that help you guys? Just like, you know, a video of me like taking the first bite or whatever. I've seen some other creators do that, and people seem to really like them. I eat anything I want. I'm not limiting myself to, you know, no carbs. I eat whatever I want. I just eat it and make sure I stay within my calorie deficit. Excuse me. I learned that, you know, it really doesn't matter what you eat, just as long as you are burning more calories than you take in. Tony, what are you doing? Are you okay? Excuse me. We all miss you. We love you. We're proud of you. I'm super happy that, you know, you just got what you got. So we all love you. We're all proud of you. We're all praying for you. I told Chrissy to get to put your to send me your address. So you know, and I'll text her mine, so that way I'll write you, send you some money or something, put it on your books or something. Okay? Hey, DJ. More about me? What do you want? Okay, you guys. So, okay. My name is Nicole. I am a recovering opiate, meth, cocaine, Xanax, I'm a recovering everything addict, okay? I was addicted to multiple substances throughout my addiction. My addiction really began when I was about 17 years old. I was partying a lot, okay? I was a cheerleader in high school. I was also in the band, and I played clarinet. I was second chair. I also played basketball and fast pitch softball. I was really athletic. But one thing that I struggled with was my weight. So from a very young age, I always had I had that insecurity about my weight. Hold on, I gotta get my Clinique lotion. So because of that insecurity about my weight, that's vitamin C serum. I was always binge dieting and starving myself. One year I starved myself. I was in band camp for 2 weeks, and while I was there, all I ate was Snickers bars and Diet Cokes. And so I lost 30 to 40 pounds. And when I went back to school, all my friends were like, "Oh my God, girl, you look so good." You know what I mean? Hey, Jackie, your question for some reason is not popping up. So if you're saying anything about any kind of medications or drugs or anything like that, TikTok will block it so I can't see it. So you have to figure out a way to write the question where it doesn't say the drug name. Okay, hon? So anyway, so I am, like I said, growing up, insecure. I figure out that I can starve myself, and then I lose a bunch of weight. And then I start getting all this attention in high school. Okay, all these guys started liking me. You know, a bunch of boys started flirting with me, and I started getting a lot of attention. Well, once I got into my 10th grade year, I was hanging out with a bunch of people that were smoking, drinking, and doing drugs. And I had never done drugs. In fact, I had just started listening to secular music. You're probably going, secular music? What does that mean? I grew up in a Pentecostal home where we weren't allowed to listen to rap music or any kind of music that wasn't Christian music. That's how I grew up. And so when I got old enough to start making my own choices on the music I wanted to listen to, you know, it was everything was so cool. It was so I was a grown-up, you know. I could do all these fun things, hang out with all my friends, and I kind of went off the deep end. Well, I started dating my boyfriend, Robert, and he was my first love. Sorry. We were together all the time. We never left each other's side, and I started using drugs with him. He was already using drugs. He was a year older than me. I was 17 and he was 18. 72 hours, Jackie. 72 hours, 3 days. So now I'm in high school. I'm going to parties. I'm drinking. I'm smoking. I'm fucking kicking it, you know. I'm just getting fucked up. And I'm hanging out with people that are drinking and smoking. I'm no longer hanging out with my little friends that I went to school with, that Christian school or church with. Hey, Brandy, what's up, girl? I'm no longer hanging out with my, Christian friends. I'm no longer listening to gospel music on the radio. I have totally rebelled, okay? Now, for those of you guys that don't know, I have an amazing family. My parents, they're still married. My mom and dad are really good people, and they're very hardworking people. When I was growing up, my dad worked for the Postal Service. My dad actually retired from there. That's how many years he worked there. My mom was a teacher. She taught children that were developmentally delayed. Kids that had autism, kids that had Down syndrome, all kinds of different stuff. My mom worked with those little kids. So I always had a solid family unit. Now, I'm the oldest of 3 girls. Okay? There's me, Nicole, and there's my sister Michelle and my sister Christine. I am 39, Michelle is 38, and Christine is 36. And so we are super close in age. At the time that I had started, partying and getting fucked up, my sister Michelle, she had already been getting fucked up. She was the one who kind of introduced me to kind of the party scene. My sister Michelle was struggling with mental illness, but my family didn't know, because back in the early 90s, people didn't talk about mental illness. Nobody talked about it like they do now, you guys. People now, it's like everybody understands mental illness. Everybody helps everybody. But back then, it wasn't something you talked about. Hey, Summer. Matt, you can message me, DM me, because I can't help you right now because I'm doing a live stream, okay? But you can send me a DM and I'll do the best I can to help you. So my sister was really struggling and my parents didn't know what to do. My dad was like, are we bad parents? Like, what's going on here? Why is this happening? My sister was sneaking out every night. My sister was staying out with like different men. She was being promiscuous. It was just horrible. You can, if anybody needs supportive resources, you can DM me, because there's not anything I can do right now while I'm on the live stream, okay? So I'm telling a story. I'm sharing my whole story with everyone here. And if you need help, please just DM me. Or you can reach out to someone in the comments and DM them. So my sister was wilding out, you guys. I mean, just like balls to the wall. And I knew that she was, but I didn't realize it was because she had mental illness. I did not realize that she was acting out because of she had bipolar. And so we didn't know that. Well, my mom and dad had to have my sister FINS petitioned. For those of you guys that don't know, that is when my parents basically relinquished rights to my sister, because if they didn't, they were going to go to jail. My sister was not going to school. She was getting into a lot of trouble. She was going in and out of juvenile jail, and the only way my parents could protect themselves was to put the state of Arkansas in charge of her. And so when the state took charge, they put my sister in juvie, and she stayed in juvie for like 6 months. When she got out of juvie, she came home and she started going back to school like she was supposed to go. And she changed schools and started going to the school called Cutter Morning Star. She ended up getting pregnant. Now, in the process before her getting pregnant, my parents had to put her into a mental institution because she was trying to kill us. We would wake up in the mornings for school, and my mom would be getting me and my sisters, come on, wake up, guys, it's time for school. We're all of age. We're all like in junior high or high school. And my sister would have these like violent outbursts where she would go to the kitchen, grab a butcher knife, come back in the bedroom, and then chase me, my mom, and my sister Christine all around the house trying to chop us up with this butcher knife. And so my parents were like, something is going on, like we have got to get her help because the state is not helping her. Hey, Sonny. Or Tom, y'all shout out to Sonny's Wellness. That's my friend Tom. He actually has a CBD company, and that's the CBD drops that I take, the CBD oil. If y'all didn't know, I have a link in my bio. You can get 25% off of his CBD if you click the link. So, back to the story, y'all. So, my sister's chasing me around, right? And Tom, you're in recovery too, aren't you? I'm pretty sure Tom's in recovery too, y'all. So, my sister's chasing us around, and my mom, she had really started to get physical with my mom, and it was getting to the point where my mom wasn't able to, my mom was getting older. She couldn't just, bow up and start, fist fighting her teenage daughter. And so my parents had to have my sister put into a home in Little Rock called the Rose Home. Now, during this process that my sister was committed to this home, I really started to act out, and I don't know if I was acting out because I was upset about what was going on with my sister, because she was my best friend, or if I was just struggling, you know, with my newfound popularity at school because I lost weight, I had a new boyfriend, there was a lot of pressure on me, I was cheering, like I just had a lot of stuff going on at home with my sister, and then a lot of pressure to rise up to the expectations of everybody at my school, you know? And so I had started to use methamphetamine. The first time I ever tried meth was with a friend. His name was Marcus, and he was dating one of my friends. Her name was Janice, and we went over to his house, and he had a bowl, and he was smoking it. And that was the first time I ever smoked meth. You're welcome, Matt. Anytime, honey. And like I said, you can still DM me. I just can't, like, I don't want to blow you off. And there's a lot of people here in the comment section, you guys, who my moderators will reach out to you and get your information, and then I can call you after the stream, okay? Okay, so I tried the meth. And when I tried that, now mind you guys, I'm 17 years old. It was like night and day. I felt like I had arrived. I felt like I had found the answer to all of my problems. This methamphetamine gave me energy. I was losing weight. I wanted to do all these things. I felt confident. I felt cool. I felt on top of the world. Little did I know that methamphetamine would ruin my life. I had no idea. I was extremely naive when it came to drugs and alcohol. I didn't know that there was going to be consequences to my actions. I did not realize that. And I'm telling you guys, when you're a young kid, you're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about what will this action cause to happen. If I do this, will this happen? You're not thinking about that. And I wasn't either. And so while my sister was in the Rose home, they had put her on like a really, really sedating concoction of drugs. They put her on Respirodol. They put her on lithium. They put her on Xanax. They put her on some other Remeron, like all these antipsychotics, basically. And so my mom and dad and me and my sister drove up to Little Rock to see her while she was in there. And I remember she came out to sit with us, and she had gained almost 100 pounds. In the 3 months that she was there, and she was crying, and she could barely talk because they had her so drugged up. And I remember my dad looked at her and he said, we're gonna get you out of here. We're gonna get you out of here, you know? And I was so thankful. I was like, okay, we got to get her out of there. She wasn't doing well. Like, they had her just sedated. It wasn't like she was doing well because she was learning or growing. They had her just completely zooted out. And so we got her out of there, and my mom and dad found her a counseling service in Hot Springs. I think it was called community counseling.
Do you really have to be in my room?
Yes. I think it was called... Why? You want me to get out?
Well, when is it? I want it to be nighttime.
Okay. It was called community counseling, and they reevaluated her. They figured out that she had bipolar disorder, antisocial personality disorder, borderline. They said she was borderline schizophrenic, and that she had schizophrenic tendencies or something like that. And so they put her on some different medicines, and that really helped her, and she was back to normal again. She was back to normal again, but she had all this weight on her, and she was so upset about it. Well, while she went back to her school, because she was at a whole different school than me and my other sister, because she had got kicked out of the school we went to, she met a boy, and she ended up getting pregnant. And my sister gave birth to her son when she was 17 years old. So, back to me. So, now she's pregnant. She has a kid. She's sober. My sister sobered up and didn't do drugs during her whole pregnancy. She had a healthy, beautiful baby boy. I was so proud of her, y'all. Yeah, baby.
Can I show you a firework?
No, not right now. Let me do
this.
this.
Show you one.
Yes, show me. Let me do this, please. Okay. So now I'm in high school. I'm about to graduate high school, and I am partying. I am getting high. I'm getting drunk. I'm just like balls to the wall, y'all. Party central. And so it was my senior year, and it was really important that I graduated because, like, I was the first person in our family to graduate high school or graduate and go on to college. And so my parents were like really putting the pressure on me, like, and they should have been, like, I needed to graduate high school. I barely passed. Bye, Tony, love you. I barely passed high school. I graduated with all D's for DeMayo. My last name when I was growing up was Nicole DeMayo, and so my dad was so disappointed, and my grandma came down from New York, and I just remember that being like, just being a bad situation. Like, I didn't meet the potential. I didn't live up to what I was supposed to do. That afternoon, after our graduation, me and my friend Nikki and my friend Leanne all went and got high on meth. And that's how I started out my graduation. You know, I started getting high on methamphetamine. I got a full-time job working as a makeup artist at JCPenney. I was totally self-taught. And so when I got the job working behind the counter at the cosmetic department, it was amazing. I loved it. And I did a really good job. I worked that job for about a year, and I was high. Going to work high every day, just tweaked out. And because of my addiction to methamphetamine, I started to hang around with some really unsavory characters. I was hanging out with guys who had like 6 felonies, carried guns. You know, they were getting high. They were making methamphetamine. And it was just bad news. Well, during that process, Robert, my boyfriend that I had been dating since high school, had found out about me using meth and had found out that I was cheating on him. I was, you know, hooking up with guys that I met that were using, and then I was staying out all night long with them. And so he broke up with me. I'll never forget it. He broke up with me at the county fair. He walked up to me and he called me an N-lover and told me he never wanted to talk to me again, and he was gone. I went home to my friend Sonia's house and I cried all night long. I was so upset that I had gotten caught cheating on him. And I was also really upset because he was my first boyfriend and my first love. And so it stung really, really bad. Now, he called me that because he was a prejudiced piece of shit, and I had been dating a guy. I had been dating a guy named Monster. Me and Monster started dating when I was in high school, and we always had like an off and on relationship. He was the quarterback of the football team. I was a cheerleader. It just made sense. So when he broke up with me, I was like, you know what? Fuck this. Fuck this. I am going to do my own thing. I don't need a man. You know, I can be bad all by myself. And so I just was like, fuck it. I'm going to do my own thing. And that's what I started to do. While I was working at JCPenney, I had made friends with this guy named, his name was Jason. And Jason was a convicted felon. He had been to prison like twice before already. And he was manufacturing methamphetamine.
Mom,
what, baby?
my fishbowl needs new water.
I know. No, Dad and you were supposed to. He was coming up to my job because I would call him and tell him, you know, hey, I got $50, bring me a half or whatever. And so he would show up at my job and, you know, deliver me meth. Well, once he realized where I worked, he started wanting shoes. He started wanting clothes, jeans. And so in my mind, being the addict that I was like, oh, wow. Well, yeah, I'll just trade you the merchandise and you can give me the meth. And so that's what I started to do. I was running a whole racket out of JCPenney, trading merchandise for drugs. It didn't take but 6 months and then I was busted. I got busted by loss prevention. I remember they came to me and they said, did you not think we were going to catch you? And I was like, no, I figured y'all would catch me eventually. I guess I just wasn't thinking about it, you know. And they said, they were so good to me. They were like, we don't want to press charges on you, Nicole. Like, we really like you. You're such a good worker. We're just really disappointed that this happened, you know. And I apologized, of course, and I told them I wouldn't come back, you know, in the store, and I left. Then shortly after I got fired, my best friend Nikki, she got fired. Now, Nikki was shooting oxys in the catalog section. She worked in catalog, I worked in the makeup department. And so we had that whole JCPenney hemmed up, you know. We were just getting drugs in and out of that JCPenney.
Show
What?
the posters.
I will in a second, Nate. Stop. So when we left, when I left JCPenney, I had to immediately get a job because I had a brand new car. So for those of you guys that don't know, when I was 17 years old, my dad bought me a car. It was a 1982 Toyota Cressida. It was navy blue. It had leather seats. It had a CD player, a system, blacked out windows, and a sunroof, baby. And I drove that car for 2 months. And one day on the way to school, I had me and my sisters in the car. I pulled out in front of a car, and it smacked me right in the middle of the car, and boop, halved my car in half, y'all. And so my dad was pissed. And so he said, I'm never buying you another vehicle again. If you want a car, you have to raise the money on your own. And so that summer, which was my summer before senior year, I went to, I got a job at Sonic, and I started working my ass off. And I saved up a couple $1,000s. And that's how I put a down payment on my brand new 2001 Ford Focus, navy blue. So I got that Ford Focus, right? And I'm at JCPenney, I'm working, I got fired, so I have a car payment. I got to pay this car payment, and I also had a couple of credit card bills, because one thing that happens when you turn 18, all these credit card companies will start sending you guys credit cards, and that's what they did to me. And so I got all these credit cards. At one point, I had cards with like $10,000, $15,000 limits on them. Okay, it was bad. And so I had a couple credit cards I needed to pay. And so I was like, shit, I gotta get my shit together, you know? And so I went and got another job, quick, fast, and in a hurry. So this other job that I got was at Shoe Carnival. And while I was working at Shoe Carnival, I became the assistant manager, basically. A supervisor is what they called it, a floor supervisor. And so I basically just did the same thing that I did at JCPenney. I shifted to a new job, but I kept my same behaviors. One thing that I do, you guys, I work my ass off. Nobody can say that I wasn't a good worker. And so I was working my ass off, but I was being scandalous, and I was, you know, selling shoes out of the Shoe Carnival for dope. Well, while I was doing that, my other boss was doing it too. So we had a whole racket running out of the Shoe Carnival trading shoes for dope. Well, eventually what happened was I started to get nervous because I had been doing it for a good 2 years. I'd been working at the Shoe Carnival for 2 years. I was like, eventually I'm going to get caught up, so I need to get out of here. Well, my dad had called me, and he was like, hey, there's a position open at the Arkansas Department of Motor Vehicles. And he said, you should put in an application for that. And so I did. I put the application in at the Department of Motor Vehicles, and I got it. Boop, boop. I got the job, and I was like, hell yeah, motherfucker. Because now I get to work like an 8 to 5, you know, Monday through Friday. Got the weekends off and everything. The DMV, bitch. So now I'm working at the DMV. Now, this is my life story, y'all, I'm telling y'all. The process of me working at the DMV, like right before I got my job there, I met a boy. I was over at my friend Flash's house. Flash was a dope cook. He lived in this little shed, and then his grandmother lived in front of him, the shed in a big house, and then her grandbabies lived in a dilapidated old trailer on the other side. And so it was a whole family on like 2 or 3 acres of land. And so I was over there one night smoking meth, and there was this boy. He came walking out of the back room in the trailer because we were over at Lacey and Seneca's house. He came walking out of the room, and he had dark brown hair, green eyes, a long, slender, Italian-looking nose, and the smile like a weasel, a slick smile. And that turned me on, baby. I was like, you look like a bad boy. You know what I mean? That was one thing that I was so attracted to when I was younger, was these boys that were like, they were bad. They were bad boys. If you didn't have an ADC number, if you didn't have felonies, if I didn't want to date you. And that was really true when I was a kid. And so I met him, and I introduced myself to him immediately. Hey, what's up, man? My name's Nicole. What are you doing here? Like, and that's when he told me that he was related to Seneca. He was Seneca's brother. And I was like, oh, okay. And Flash was Seneca's wife's uncle. I was like, oh, okay. And so I gave him my phone number, and I told him to call me and we could hang out sometime. Well, I left that night and I went to work the next day, and then I went to work the next day. Okay. Summer, of course, girl. I didn't get a felony until 2008. So listen to the story, girl. So now, okay. So I'm at Shoe Carnival and I'm working, right? And I'm kind of like, damn, dude, that dude didn't call me, right? Well, then my cell phone rings and it's a number I don't know, right? Well, it was him. He's like, what's up, girl? It's LD. You want to go hang out, you know? And I was like, hell yeah. I'll pick you up after I get off work. I should have known right there that this dude didn't have a car. He didn't have nothing to offer me because I was going to his house, going to pick him up. I thought I was picking him up from his own house. Little did I know, he was sleeping at his grandma's house. He was completely homeless, had nowhere to live, you guys. He was on felony probation. He was an IV methamphetamine addict, just the whole 9 yards. When I met him, I was just in this place where I wanted to, like, save people, you know? I wanted to, like, rescue him from the bad things, and I wanted to help him get his life together. You know, I don't know why I was like that, but I just had this, like, undying need to help people. And so we started dating. He told me that he was homeless. And I said, man, it ain't no big deal. Like, I'll just help you get your own, I'll help you get your own place, you know? And so, we dated for like 6 months, and then we moved into this little 1-bedroom efficiency. When I tell you guys, this thing was nasty as fuck. The roaches had roaches. Okay, there was rats, there was like prostitutes and pimps that lived there, crack smoke, you could smell it all through the building. It was really, really nasty. But I couldn't afford anything else because I was the only one working. And so we moved into this little efficiency where we paid like $145 a week to stay there. And we stayed high, tweaking, eating pills, just being fucked up. I can remember one time we were having sex, and he was on top, and I looked up and there was a roach this big on his shoulder. This big. And so I flicked it off. And it was just like, it was starting to become my norm. Now you guys got to understand something. I didn't grow up in filth. I didn't grow up around roaches. I didn't grow up poor. Okay. My parents took really good care of us, and my mom and dad worked really, really hard. So we had nice things. And so this was such a step down for me. Like, I had never been in this bad of a situation. So my mom and dad wanted to come over and see where we were living. I'm gonna have some pretzels. I knew if my dad came over and seen where we were living, he was gonna freak his shit out. So he comes over and he says, hell no. Hell no. My daughter is not going to live like this. Okay? And so my mom and dad helped me find this beautiful baby blue trailer out off Amity Road. It was fully furnished, $350 a month for rent, and right down the road from my mom and dad's house. And so we moved in. And I felt so much better because now I was in a clean home. I could keep it nice. Like, I was like, I can do this, you know? Well, our methamphetamine habit continued, and we stayed getting high. I'm still working at the revenue office. LD got a job working construction. and I got him a car. See, he didn't have his own car, so I bought him a Ford Probe, a maroon Ford Probe. It had a drop kit on it. It had speakers. Like, it was a cute car. And so now we're on the road. He's driving, I'm driving, we're working, we're paying rent, we're making money, and we're staying high. One of the things that he did when we got together, and I asked him to please do this, was to not shoot up. Because, see, I hadn't started shooting up yet. And so I was totally against that. Well, he stopped shooting up, and he just, smoked it, snorted it. And so I'm working, he's working, and we're trying to, like, make ends meet, Every Friday when I got off work, we would meet up. We would go get taco prano burritos covered in cheese, and then we would buy a sack of weed and all the pills. Now, this is where I started shifting from methamphetamine onto pain pills, okay? This is like 2006, y'all. I had gotten a connection with this lady who had methadone. And she would sell me the methadone tins for $5. Then I also found this little old man that had the wafers, the 40 milligram methadone wafers. So I was taking these fuckers every fucking day. When I tell y'all I was so fucked up on methadone, I was eating them fuckers every day. I was nodding out, catching my fucking t-shirts on fire. It was bad. One night I had been working at Sonic late that night because I was working 2 jobs, Revenue and Sonic. And I was calling LD, and I was like, why isn't he answering the phone? Like, what the fuck's going on here? Calling him and calling him and calling him. He's not answering. So I get home, and he's just getting home to the house. And I'm like, where have you been? He's like, oh, I was hanging over at my brother's house. They had a party over there, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, all right, let's go to bed. So we go to bed that night. We make sweet love. And I wake up the next morning. I go to work like nothing happened, right? Halfway through my day at work, I started having like this sensation down there in my hoo-ha. It started to burn when I peed. And it was itching. Like I wanted to drag my butt on the ground and just itch it. You know how them dogs do that shit? It was bad. And I was like, this motherfucker gave me an STD. He was sleeping with somebody. He was off fucking somebody while I was working my ass off at my second job. And so I called him and I was like, I'm making an appointment at the doctor's office. Like, it's hurting when I pee and it's itching really bad. And so he was like, I don't know why. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to the doctor when I get off work. I go to the doctor when I get off. They do the little test or whatever. And then my doctor literally calls me like an hour and a half later and tells me that I have trichomonas, gonorrhea, and chlamydia. And so I look at LD and I said, so you're going to tell me that I just gave myself 3 STDs? You're just going to lie to me and tell me that? And that's when he came clean and he told me that he fucked his sister's best friend, Stacy. Y'all, I cried. I was so upset. I had worked so hard. We just got our own place. I had gotten him a car. We were like actually, making ends meet. We were actually kind of doing okay for people that use drugs, And I took him to the doctor. He got on the antibiotics. I got on the antibiotics. And of course it went away. But ever since that day, it was never the same. I should have broke up with him and left him that moment. I should have walked away from the relationship and never looked back because I deserved better than that. But what I did was I gave him a second chance. Now, once I gave him that second chance, you guys, that's when everything started to change. That's when he started becoming abusive. Verbally, physically, and mentally, and emotionally abusive to me. I remember the first time that he made me bleed. He got a sippy cup full of milk that his nephew was drinking, and he picked it up and he chunked it across the trailer at me, and it hit me right here. That's a scar. That's not a part. That is a scar from where I had to get stitches. Right here. See that? If you felt it, it's raised. So I'm bleeding. The blood's just pouring down my head. I'm crying. He comes over there. He's like saying he's sorry and all this stuff. And so I got a bandana and I tied it around my head and I put a towel on my head and I went and laid down. I laid down for about an hour. And when I woke up, my whole pillow was saturated in blood. And that's when I knew I had to go to the hospital. So now this is the first time that I'm going to go to the hospital, and I'm going to have to lie about what happened to me because I can't tell the truth. I can't tell them that I'm being beat. So I go to the hospital and I lie to the nurse, and I told her that I fell and hit my head on the weight bench in our living room. Stupid, stupid story. I still have to go to work the next day at the revenue office, right? So they stitch me up. They give me 10 stitches, like the glue kind or whatever, that dissolve, and then I go home. He's apologizing, telling me he'll never do it again, you know, that he just lost his temper, yada, yada, yada. And I forgave him, and I went to work the next morning, and I lied to my bosses and, you know, tried to hide it. Now, one thing that I was doing at the revenue office, because when I'm on drugs, I am stealing, okay? I steal from stores. At the revenue office, I have had some Mexicans ask me if they could pay me to make them IDs. And I said no at first, and then the thought kept going in my mind. Well, the opportunity came again, and I started to do it. I was making IDs for illegal aliens. I was probably making like $1,000 a day, okay? They would pay anywhere from $300 to like $700 cash to me for these IDs. They had their IDs and social security cards, and they always brought in their paperwork. And whether it was real or not, I can't tell you, but I would just send it through. And so that went on for like over a year, okay? Over a year. And, I mean, I was rolling, dude. I was getting so many pills. I was getting just bukus of methadone pills, hydros, Norcos, oxys. It was out of control. One day I got bold and I accepted a check. The moment I did that, bam, they caught me. I should have never done that. I took a check instead of keeping it cash, and they busted me, and my boss came to me and she said, I can literally prosecute you. I could send you to federal prison. You know, and I was crying, asking her, you know, please forgive me. I'm so sorry. And she knew I was on drugs. I had opened up to her, you know, because we had became really good friends. She was dying of cancer. Now, rewind a little bit. While I was at work one day, this lady jumped across the counter and tried to fight me because she was mad about her sales tax on her car. And my boss, dying of cancer, had a prescription for oxys and a prescription for Xanax. So she came out and she gave me a Xanax. That was the first time I ever took Xanax. I had never taken Xanax before in my life until this day. And when I took that peach Xanax, it gave me the best feeling in the whole entire world. I was like, hell yeah, I can do anything now. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not scared. I don't have anxiety, nothing. And so my boss, not knowing that, you know, she was just adding to my addiction. So now I'm taking Xanax. I'm eating pain pills, heavy. And I'm dabbling in methamphetamine on the weekends. Not a lot though, because now I'm on the pain pills and I like those better at that time. And plus I had to go to work every Monday through Friday, so I couldn't be up all day long and then try to go to work and act normal. And so I would only do it on like a Saturday or Friday night, and then hopefully I'd be okay by Monday morning when I went to work. Well, my boss, she didn't turn me in. She didn't prosecute me. She could have. But she made me resign. I resigned from the job. She called my dad because she was friends with my dad, told my dad what I was doing. And that's when my parents came to me and they said, you need to get help. And this is the first time they kind of like confronted me about it. And I was like, no, I'm okay. Everything's going to be all right. Well, in the process of losing that job, I just took more hours at Sonic, and I started working, you know, as a Sonic car hop, and then I slowly worked my way up to assistant manager. Now, during that process, you know, me and LD, we had been fighting a lot. The beatings and the abuse started to get worse. It started to just become for no reason sometimes. Like, he would just get mad at me. One day we're sitting on the couch with his whole family. Everybody was there, and he grabs the Supreme Bean Burrito from Taco Bell and just shoves it in my eyeball. Just shoves it in my eyeball in front of everybody. And I'm pulling, like, beans out of my eyeball. It was devastating. I was so embarrassed, you know? So it's getting worse. I don't know why I'm staying, but I'm damaged. Like, I don't see my worth. I don't love myself. I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm pretty. All those things. I just lost my amazing job working for the state of Arkansas. Like, I'm losing my mind, you know? Nate, don't talk to your dad about it. Talk to dad about it. So, okay, well then get it out of there. Just don't come down and tell me. So after this happens, you know, I went to jail. Okay, so the revenue office ladies, what they had me do is they had me, I had to do a restitution to where I was paying back restitution to them. So I paid back restitution to them. It took me like 3 years to pay back that restitution, but I was giving them money. My parents were helping me pay it. And it was a big deal, you guys. Like, I could have gotten a lot more trouble, but my family and the lady who ran the department, they showed me mercy and they gave me a second chance. And I'm so grateful for that, because they really could have just, like, you know, taken me and ran me through the grave. So he's beating me. I can't get away from him. I think I deserve it, like I said. So let me think. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what happened first, because sometimes I get my story a little mixed up when I'm trying to tell it. So I'm working at Sonic, and I'm going into work like really, really high. Okay. I know I'm lucky. I was blessed because I was friends with the owners, or the managers.
Do we have bread
And
now?
yes, Nate, I'm not a bad person. I made mistakes, and I have turned all that stuff around, and I worked really hard to be a better person and change my life. But I'm telling you guys the story, and I want to be honest. So, I'm at Sonic, and I'm just like zooted off of pain pills. It was so bad that I was nodding off, trying to make people extra long cheese conies with mustard and onions and chili on them. So my boss comes up behind me one day, and I'm nodded out, and he tells me I need to leave. There you go. And that's when I got fired from my job at Sonic. So not only did I lose my job working for the DMV, now I've lost my job at Sonic. I have no job. I went immediately to the gas station down the street from our house and got a job. Because, see, I got a car payment, I got insurance, I got credit card bills, I got rent, I have all these things that I need to pay. And so I'm falling apart, though. I'm falling apart on the inside. I'm, like, not understanding how I'm going to make it through this.
Can you make me this, or can I?
Yeah, bring me a butter knife and the bread. So,
What is a butter knife?
do you just want it on regular bread?
Is that what's supposed to go on?
Or toast?
Toast.
Will you ask your dad to come down here and do this, because I'm telling the story, okay?
Tell me how to cook it then.
Oh, I'll do it, son. So, this boy is a bottomless pit, y'all.
I don't know what
So, it's fine. I got it. So,
Are you gonna make that?
I lose the job. No, you're going to come down here and get it. I lose my job. I'm upset. I'm working at the gas station. I'm not getting enough hours to make ends meet, though. And I had cheated on LD. I went behind his back. I slept with this guy I was friends with, and a guy that was getting methadone also. And I got pregnant. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I couldn't tell him because he was going to hurt me. And so I called my mom and I called my sister, and I was like, I'm pregnant and I'm strung out and I cannot stop getting high. So I had an abortion. And this is probably one of the hardest things for me to talk about, because I was always raised up to, like, I was raised up that you don't do that. You know what I mean? I was raised up in a really religious household, and it was going against everything that I was taught and that I believed in when I was younger. And so after I had the abortion, everything just changed. I had so much guilt. I didn't care if I lived or died. I didn't care about anything. Nothing. I came home from work one night. I had been working at the gas station late, and I went home to my home with LD, and no one was there. So, not even worried about it, said, fuck it, I'm not going to call him. I'm just going to go to sleep. And I took a bunch of methadone and I went to sleep. That next morning when I woke up, I went to my purse, because every night before I would go to bed, I would take off my earrings and my rings. I put them in my little pocketbook thing in my purse, because I had a lot of really nice jewelry. I had a lot of diamond jewelry. I liked nice things. I had money to buy it. I worked a lot to do those things, and I paid my credit card bills. So I went and I splurged. I got myself the right hand canary yellow diamond ring. I got myself the little pendant shaped in a heart with the diamonds and the diamond solitaire earrings. See, I loved all that kind of stuff. And so I woke up and all of my jewelry was gone. All of my money was gone. Anything that I had that you could take and get money for it right away was gone. So I call, and I'm calling LD because he's still not home. And I'm thinking, you know, somebody just robbed me. I need him to get home, and we need to file a police report, right? He doesn't answer the phone. I call and I call and I call. I go down the hallway because his dad lived with us. And I asked his dad, I said, where's LD? Like, I'm trying to get a hold of him. Like, all my jewelry's gone. Did anybody come in the house last night? Did you see what happened? Yada, 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 you know? And Mario is lying to me. He's not telling me the truth. That was his dad. And so finally, I called his sister and I'm like, Desiree, where is your brother? And that's when she told me that he was with her best friend Ashley, and that he had stayed the night there with her, and that he told me he wasn't coming home. He was not leaving. And so he left me. He left me. Somebody stole all of my shit. I still to this day don't know if it was him or the Terry twins, because it was one or the other. But everything was gone. And so now I'm even more depressed. I want to kill myself at this point, but I don't. I packed all my stuff and I left. I moved out. I got my I moved in with my friend Nicole and her boyfriend Jeremy, and I started smoking crack and doing ecstasy along with all my pain pills and methamphetamine. And I went off on a bender, like a really bad binge. Here you go, buddy. Nutella toast. So now I'm on a hell of a bender, like a really, really bad binge. At this time, there was the double stack blue dolphins, the green apples, the money signs. These are all ecstasy pills. And I'm taking these ecstasy pills in copious amounts. Okay, guys? I'm taking like 3 or 4 ecstasies at a time and just blazing balls, rolling my ass off, okay? Well, I ended up getting a job working for Olive Garden, and I'm rolling my ass off and working at Olive Garden. My addiction was, I was getting that. I didn't care. I was staying with dudes all night, doing something strange for a little bit of change, just like hoeing, being a hoe, sleeping with guys, not protecting myself, staying with God, whoever, okay, whoever, and I didn't care. Well, I remember one time I had taken 3 ecstasies and I went to my job at Olive Garden, and I was hosting that night. I wasn't waiting tables, and so the pills started to kick in, and I started to roll really hard, where like my teeth were chattering, and I was just like fucked up. And so I went back in the bathroom in Olive Garden, and I laid down on the floor. And that's when my manager found me there, laying on the floor with my face on the cold floor. And she fired me. So now I've then lost like 4 jobs, and I'm like really upset about this. And I'm living with Jeremy and Nicole, and I'm just getting worse and worse and worse. Well, I couldn't handle it anymore, and I called my mom. And I was like, remember how y'all told me I needed help? I think I need help. And that's when I moved back in with my parents, and I went to the first treatment center I ever went to. I went to treatment at a place called Quapaw House Incorporated, and I stayed there for 30 days. I did everything they told me to do. I listened to them. I tried to work through stuff that I was struggling with. I really tried. Before I had went into treatment, my best friend had ended up killing herself. My best friend Nikki, the girl that worked at JCPenney with me, ended up shooting herself in the chest. And I was super depressed, and I just got even worse off in my addiction. And so I went through grief processing while I was there. Like, I learned a lot. And I also learned about the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous while I was there. And so one of the things that they had taught me while I was there in treatment was that I needed to get a sponsor when I got out. And so when I got out of treatment, I asked this girl named Candace to be my sponsor. And I started working the 12 steps with her, and I was doing really good. About 6 months into working the steps and doing stuff, I got a job working at a Mexican restaurant waiting tables. I relapsed. I was at the Mexican restaurant, Colorado Grill. There was a lady named Connie there. She had the methadone tins. I bought them from her, and I relapsed. And I was back to the races again. So this is like 2007 now. I run into Nate. His name was Nathan. We went to school together, and he's manufacturing methamphetamine. And so I started going over to his house like every night, hanging out, getting high on meth. And I got a job working at the Days Inn, a hotel. And so I ended up leaving the Mexican restaurant because I thought, I need to get out of here. Connie's got all the methadone tin. I need to like get away from here and like set myself up for success. Yeah, right. I just needed to be somewhere where I could do meth. And so at that hotel, I worked the night shift. And so I could be up all night, and it wasn't a big deal because I was working at the hotel. All right. So this is when I started shooting up. Okay. I had never shot up the whole time, all the way up until this point in 2007. So I'm over at Nate's house. My girlfriend Tammy is there. Yes, my girlfriend, me and her were having relations. And we were all there, and I had always been the one who would be in the living room, and I would be doing hot rails, I would smoke, or I would just snort a regular line. Well, every time they always went to the back bedroom. And I was like, why are they doing that? You know, I had never seen anybody shoot up. I didn't know how it went. I didn't know why they were going to another room. And so after about 2-3 weeks of them going to the back room, I walked back there and I realized they're shooting up. And so I was like, hey, I want to try that. And they were like, no, you don't. Nicole, they were basically saying like, you're not like us. You still have a chance. You don't ever want to do this. It'll ruin your life. I wouldn't listen to them. I said, if you don't do it, I'm going to teach myself how to do it. So they shot me up for the first time. It was 40 units of methamphetamine, 40 units of anhydrous methamphetamine. And the moment it hit my veins, I was in love. I gasped, started coughing, and it felt like I had pissed in my pants. That's how intense it was. The hair on my head started to feel like it was growing. So I look at Tammy, I look at Nate, and I'm like, whoa. And we had a threesome that night. But that is when I really like went off the deep end. I loved it. I loved that feeling. I wanted to feel it every single time. And so after we had our little threesome, I went in the bathroom and I taught myself how to shoot up. For the next 8 hours, I sat in there and I learned how to put it in, pull back, register. Put it in, pull back, register. And I never had anybody shoot me up again. Because one thing I knew was I didn't want nobody put something in my drugs and kill me, you know? And I was hanging out with a lot of people, y'all. I was hanging out with people who would give somebody a hot shot. I was hanging out with really bad people. Felons that had 10-time felon, like people that were basically, they would killers, right? And so, after I shot up, you guys, I went downhill fast. My parents kicked me out because I was staying at Nate's house and I wasn't coming home. They caught me in their bathroom I left my syringe cap behind, and they caught me. They knew that I was using a needle, and my parents were like, hell no. And so they kicked me out. And so I moved in with Nate, and I was sleeping over at his house. I was never sleeping. When I tell you guys I was up for like weeks, I let all of my credit card bills lapse. Thankfully, my dad was paying my car payment, and I had paid off my car. I bought my car in 2000, and it was a 5-year note. So my car was paid off by like 2005, 2006. So all I had was my insurance and all those credit cards, okay? And I let all my credit card bills lapse. I stopped paying them. They started calling my parents' house, harassing them. When I tell you guys, I had to file bankruptcy on $65,000 of credit card debt. You can look me up. I'm in there. I filed bankruptcy because I was never going to be able to pay it off. So now I'm shooting dope. I'm losing everything. Everything went to the wayside. I'm driving my car on a donut, and I'm just squeezed out. Well, this guy came over to Nate's house one night. Black guy. He had scar across his chest. I said, what's that from? He said, it's a pacemaker. In your heart? Yeah, pacemaker. Well, he was shooting meth. So I'm like, you have a pacemaker and you're shooting meth? It was wild to me. I couldn't believe that shit. And so we were cooking. We were cooking at the house. I was always making sure that everything was clean. I would always make sure that we had fans set up to blow the smoke and stuff out. I was always manning the perimeter. We had these cameras set up to see who was all coming up the driveway. If somebody knocked on the door, I answered it. If somebody needed something, I went to Nate, got it, got their money, brought it to them, then brought him his money back. Like, I was right there. I was right there in the mix, you know. I was scraping Pyrexes to get the dope off the sides, like bagging up baggies, all kinds of stuff, shucking matches. I remember one night, y'all, we had a living room full of matchboxes, okay? We had probably like 15 people go from Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, Louisiana, Texas, and buy all these matchboxes in ephedra. Okay, so we're in the middle of his living room and we're just shucking matches for hours. If y'all don't know what shucking matches is, that's when you have to pull the book away from the strip, because that red phosphorus on the strip is what you used in the process of making this meth. And so we're shucking matches. We had barrels full of matchbooks. So anyway, it was a whole operation, and we were being watched. We were literally being watched by the police every single day. There was a cop parked at the cul-de-sac, and we were just in there manufacturing a whole fucking lab. Well, one night Nate sent me and Quincy out to take meth to people and get their money. We went by my sister's house, stayed the night there, woke up the next morning, and went over to the Terry twins' house. There was a whole bunch of people over there that wanted dope. And so we got there, we got high with everybody, we served everybody, and then we got in my car. Quincy was driving, I was in the passenger seat. We get like half a mile down the road, and my whole car is surrounded. There's police cars, there's black SUVs, there's detectives, there's marked polices, and they throw him out of my car and throw my car into park, and they throw me out, and I'm on the ground spread eagle. They're yelling, they're screaming, they got their guns pointed on us, asking us where the dope is. All I had on me was a syringe with a cc of methamphetamine in it, but that was enough to get me charged with possession of a controlled substance. So they take us to jail. Quincy looked at me, he said, don't even sweat it, I'll get you out. Like, we're going to get out together. And I was like, okay. Well, they take me back to the room. They're yelling at me. They're screaming at me. He's in the other room beside me, and he's knocking on the wall like, it's going to be okay, girl. Just keep your mouth shut, you know? I said, okay. Well, I went out to the payphone, and I called everybody in his phone book. Everybody that he knew. And this guy was like, I'll be up there in a minute. And he went and put his Harley up and came and got us out of jail. So, we got out of jail. We were high that night. So now, I have to go to court for possession of a controlled substance. And they call me in again. They're like, we need to talk to you. So I go up to the police station, and I sit there, and the detectives are like, listen, all you have to do is make 3 confirmed buys. We know that you know who's making this meth. We know that you hang out with the people who are making this meth. And all we need you to do is go buy some meth from them and bring it back to us. We'll even pay you to go buy the meth. Shit, we'll let you have the drugs. Okay? I said, I got to talk to my dad about this because I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about being in trouble. I've never been in trouble in my life. Y'all know how it was. So I go home and I sit down with my dad and I told him what they said, and my dad looked at me and he said, fuck no. You never, ever snitch. You did the crime, you do the time. He said, what if you snitched and then they come after me and my family? He said, I'm too fucking old to go to jail because I'll kill somebody if they come up on this property. And I said, you're right. And so I went back up to the police station and I met with the detectives and I told them, no, I'm not telling shit. I did the crime. I'll do my time. And so they said, have it your way. Well, I went and met with my lawyer because they appointed me a fucking state appointed lawyer, and he told me you have a couple choices. You can do drug court. You can go ahead and do the 3 to 6 years, like just go straight on to prison, or you can do probation. That was a no-brainer for me. I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to be on drug court. Give me the motherfucking probation. And so we went to court, and I'm thinking, Quincy's going to be there. I'm going to be there. They offered Quincy 20 years on a habitual offender's charge. This dude never showed up. He ran. I've never seen him since. I think he went to Mexico. He's gone. Never seen him again. I'm there, and they give me my probation. So they give me 3 years probation, okay? So I'm like, okay, 3 years probation. I can do this. So I moved back in with my mom and dad. I'm trying to straighten up. I'm trying to fly right. You know what I mean? Yes, for possession of it's Class C felony, possession of methamphetamine. It did not matter how much it was. They did not care. I got slammed with that shit, y'all. Slammed with that shit. It was literally this much in the syringe. Quincy had like 6 grams in his sock, but they charged him separately with that because it was on his person. I also had misdemeanor possession charges, misdemeanor paraphernalia, because I had weed, I had a hookah bong, I had all kinds of stuff in my car, okay? And so they ended up dropping all the misdemeanors, and they just hit me with that felony, the Class C felony. So now I'm on probation for 3 years. I sober up, and I go and I get my drug test, right? Well, this was in Arkansas in 2008, okay? And so back in Arkansas in 2008, they were throwing the book at people for fucking methamphetamine. Nowadays, I probably wouldn't have even they probably would have now just I don't even know if they would have charged me now, the way things are now. But anyways, so I'm on probation. I take my first drug test. I pass it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to change. I'm going to do right. Well, that damn obsession, the obsession to use the want to get high, it was just knocking. I didn't go to meetings. I didn't get a sponsor. I didn't do anything. I just tried to stop, So I get it in my brain. I'm going to go get me a prescription of Klonopin. I can do it. I can get me a prescription of Klonopin, and then I'll be legal beagle. So I find this script doctor. Back in the day, there was pill mills all over the place. You could go to a doctor, tell him you wanted XYZ, pay him $200 cash, and they'd make that happen. So that's what I did. I went and got me a prescription for Somas and Klonopin. I come to see my probation officer the next month and tell her I got a prescription for Klonopin and Soma. And she looks at me and she says, I want you to bring it in because I'm going to count them. Aw, shit. What do you mean you're going to count them? I'm going to count them. They were gone. Every time I got the prescription, they would be gone within the first week. What's she talking about? You know? I'd take these somas and I'd be trying to walk down the street. My fucking legs would just give out on me. I'd get behind. I was out of my mind on them damn somas. Soma coma, soma coma, soma coma. In the process of me being on probation, me and LD broken up, all that kind of stuff, I met this guy named Adam. Now, I had gotten a job. I was working downtown Hot Springs at this really nice ass steak restaurant called Porterhouse. I'm talking to you guys, I was making $500 a night waiting tables at this steakhouse. It was a top of the line, very nice steakhouse. You went there, you dressed up, you wore suit and ties, you wore a cocktail dress. Like, it was a really nice restaurant. And so Adam was a waiter, and so was I. And so when I met this dude, you guys, I was just like, damn. He had like long blonde hair, really blue eyes. He looked like just like a California surfer boy. And I was like attracted to that, you know? And so I started going to his house after work every night, and we would have like other people over that worked with us, and we would all drink beer and hang out, smoke weed, and just kick it. They knew I was on probation. I would try so hard, you guys, to stay sober, right? I would try so hard, but I couldn't. So Porterhouse was right here, and above it, the owners had some apartments up there. And so they rented the apartments out to some of their best waiters and waitresses. So we had some friends that lived up there, and we'd all go up there and party every night after we'd get off work. We'd drink, we'd get fucked up, dance, smoke, play pool downstairs at the club, just kicking it. Well, I really started taking a liking to Adam, and I started staying the night with him like every night. I basically moved in with him. My parents are really upset. I'm not coming home anymore. I'm staying the night at his house. I'm drinking, I'm smoking. I'm failing all my drug tests. I'm going to my probation officer. She's piss testing me, and I'm failing. I'm telling her that I'm going to fail, and she still has me lift my leg up and looks inside of me. She has me put my leg up on the wall. She bends down and looks inside of my vajay. It was demeaning. It was embarrassing. It was like violating. But she was so mean. And she would do that every time. Even if I told her I was going to fail, she did not care. She had me put my leg on the wall, propped up like that, and she would bend down and look inside my vagina. One time she embarrassed me so bad that I had diarrhea, and I went to get up from the toilet, and it went all over the floor because she was making me. She's like, get up before you go pee. You have to show me. And so I lift my leg up, and I'm getting up to get up, and I'm so nervous, and I'm shaking, and I shit on the ground, and I'm like, oh my God, did I just? She's yelling, I'm yelling, I'm like, you are violating me, right? I was mortified. Well, I went home to talk to Adam, and I was telling him what happened, and he had a couple of things going on. I was helping him, of course, just like I always do, pay for his fines and fees, helping him get his license back, just doing all the stuff that I do. I always help everybody. Even since I was younger, when I was in my addiction, I was always trying to help somebody else make their life better, just like I do here on TikTok. I'm always trying to help someone else. Even if I need more help than they do, I was helping them. And so me and Adam were getting really close. I was falling in love with him. And what I would notice would happen at night when I would go to sleep at his house, I would wake up in the middle of the night and he wouldn't be there. And so at first I was like, oh, he must just be in the bathroom or something, right? Enough times of it happening, I said, fuck this, and I got up. And we lived in a garage apartment, so I was above somebody else's house. And I look outside and I look down, and he drove this white van. I'm talking like a serial killer white van. And I see the lighter keep going on and off in the front seat of his van. So I run down there. What is he doing? He's got that glass dick in his mouth. He's smoking crack. I said, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I said, so you're smoking crack. You're a crackhead. And I was pissed, y'all, because for some reason back then I was like, crack is whack. That shit's for the birds. Like, you know, that makes you do crackhead shit. Like, I was just totally against crack. I mean, I might hit it every now and then, but I didn't want to be with a guy that was smoking like that. You know, it really does make you do anything. I was like, so what are you doing? Are you going down to the drug dealer's house and sucking his dick for a crack rock? Like, what's going on here? Like, you leave in the middle of the night when I'm asleep? What's going on? I was so upset. And I was like, you got to stop. Like, why don't we get sober together? Like, I was so upset, you guys. And he told me, okay, I'm going to stop all this stuff. And I kept catching him. I kept catching him. One night I drove down. I followed him. I followed him down Park Avenue, and I followed him into this nasty ass seedy hotel. And I seen him walk into a black dude's hotel room that looked like he was gay. And I was like, nothing against gay guys, but y'all know he was my boyfriend, right? And so I was like, he's fucking another guy. That's what's happening. And so I got so mad, I went home and I got my dad's gun. And I drove back to that hotel room and I kicked the door. Kick. Let him out of there, motherfucker. Okay, I'm doing my own thing. I'm smoking, I'm drinking, I'm doing drugs too, right? But I was mad. And I go waving this gun around, screaming and yelling. He's like, Nicole, what are you doing? What are you doing, right? And so I get in my car, I'm pissed, and I drive off and I go back to our house, the house I lived with him at. He finally shows up and he's just like, I'm not going to quit. I'm never going to stop smoking crack. I'm not going to stop smoking crack for you. Like, this just is what it is. And I was so upset. I was crying. I said, fuck it. I packed all my shit and I left. I had to go see my probation officer. And of course, I failed my drug test as usual. And that's when she looked at me and she said, I'm going to give you one last chance. And that's when she said, I'm going to send you to treatment. This is your last chance. Like, go to treatment, get sober, and let's change your life. And so I went to treatment. She sent me to a place called South Arkansas Substance Abuse Center. Okay. And so I went to South Arkansas Substance Abuse and I did my 30 days. I did really well. I was listening to everything they told me to do. Now, this time is when I first really experienced withdrawal. See, all these years, I had never really experienced what withdrawal was like. Don't ask me how, but I had just never gone long enough to get sick like that. And so I'm in the detox, and I am literal shitting all over myself, throwing up all over myself, everything. It was so bad. I had never experienced so much pain in my life. But I got through it. They gave me Librium and they gave us Klonidine, and that was it. And they would give us these Gatorades, and we were allowed to smoke cigarettes. Thank God we could smoke cigarettes. We would go outside, smoke cigarettes, you guys, and they had a whole litter of hound dogs. The ones with the long ears with the really long bodies, basset hounds. That was the highlight of my day. I'd smoke a cigarette out there and play with those little basset hounds in full withdrawal, sweating, shaking, shivering, everything. I got through my withdrawal though, and me and my friend Elsie had, like, we had become really good friends. We went through withdrawal together. And so we would play volleyball on the weekends. We would go to meetings. They would drive us in the druggy buggy to the meetings. I mean, I was like learning normalcy. Like, I was sober and I was learning and I was having fun and I was getting better. Like, I was starting to look better. I was getting my weight back. I was calling my parents and telling them like how much I was learning, how I felt like this time was going to be different. Like, I really wanted to change my life. I didn't want to go to prison and all kinds of stuff. Well, it was time for me to graduate after my 30 days, and my counselor called me in her office, and she was like, we really want to offer you a place to stay at our sober living, and we want you to stay here in El Dorado. Now, El Dorado was a good 4 hours away from my mom and dad's house and everything that I knew in Hot Springs. And she said, we've already talked to your probation officer, and she approved it. you can move into a sober living house and we'll help you find a job and you can start your life here with us. And we want to help you. We really love you, Nicole. We are so proud of how far you've come. And instead of staying there, I said no, and I went back to Hot Springs where my mom and dad and all the people I knew that did drugs were. I got a job working at Rolando's, which was another restaurant, and the lady that ran it was friends with my dad. And so I stayed sober for maybe 30 days, and then I relapsed. And I went right back to where I was at. It was like I had never even missed a beat. I was balls to the wall. Cocaine, methamphetamine, oxy, just getting high all the time. Well, my probation officer called me in for a drug screen and I failed it. And that's when she looked at me. She said, I told you that was your last chance. You're going to prison. And so she put a warrant out for my arrest. I went down to the police station. I turned myself in. I paid my bond so I could stay out for 1 more month, and I stayed getting high. I got high as hell every day of that month until I had to go to court 30 days later. I was shooting, I was drinking, I was smoking. I was thinking in my mind, like, if I die, what does it matter? What does it matter? I have nothing. I've lost everything. I don't have shit to show for my life. All the jobs I've worked, all the hard work I've done, and all of it I've thrown away for drugs. All of it, relationships, everything. And so I didn't care. I didn't care if I lived or died. Well, a month went by and it was time for me to report. I didn't even take my mom and dad with me. I said, I'm not going to make y'all go to that. I'm not going to subject y'all to my shit. And I drove down to the police station. I parked my car in the sheriff's department parking lot. I took my keys and I put them in my gas station and I locked it up. Okay? They came, I went to court. I walked in. I had on my black pea coat and I had some Xanax bars in my pocket because I knew it was going down. The judge called me up there, sentenced me to my prison time. I took them bars, swallowed them dry, and got handcuffed and went back to jail. And I stayed in jail in county for 60 days. Those 60 days that I was in county, I cried, I laughed, I cried some more, I got mad, and it wasn't hitting me. It wasn't hitting me that I had lost my freedom. It wasn't hitting me that I wasn't going to be able to leave in a little bit. It was like I couldn't fathom it yet. I'm staying there. We're watching Maury. We're watching Jerry Springer. Me and all the girls, we're ordering hella fucking junk food on commissary. We stay up at night telling fucking war stories and all kinds of crazy ass stories and shit. Just like I'm doing with y'all right now. When I was in jail, I did the same thing. I'm a storyteller. I love to tell stories, and that's what I do. I like to entertain. I like to get people invested. And so I was the same way in jail, and we all had the best time. We made the best out of the situation. So 60 days in, guess who shows up? Guess who's my cellmate? Y'all remember Candace? Candace, the girl who I asked to be my sponsor when I went to treatment for the first time at Quapaw House? Candace walks in, and she's my cellmate. I said, girl, what you doing here? I thought she was in recovery. And she said, I relapsed, and I started cooking dope. And I got busted for manufacturing, and I'm going to RPF. And I was like, wait a second, you're going to Pine Bluff? And she said, yeah, I'm going to Pine Bluff. And I was like, hell yeah, we're going to the same place. I'll see you there. Withdrawals in jail, honestly, were not that bad. And I honestly think it was because I knew I was in there. I knew I couldn't get out and get anything. Of course, it sucked, but it wasn't as bad as the time I withdrawed in detox. And so, at 30 days after she got there, I get a knock on my cell, and they're like, come on, Nicole. They're like, load up. It's time for you to go. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, it's time. We're taking you to prison. It's time to go to Pine Bluff. And so, I got in the car. They gave me my one last cigarette, and I smoked it on the way there. And when I got to Pine Bluff, I remember I was shaking. I was so scared. I had never been to prison. I thought I was going to walk in there and Big Bertha was going to beat my ass. I was shaking in my boots. They gave me my ADC number. I can't remember. I think it was 754077. I can't quite remember though. And so they're processing me in, and they put me inside the shower with these two big old girls. And I'm in the middle of them, and they're putting this lice stuff all over us and then spraying us. And it was just mortifying. It was like that was the moment it hit me. I can't leave. I'm in prison. I am in prison. I am going to live my life here. And so they put me in the hole, and I was in the hole for 3 days, because when you first get to prison, they have to make sure you don't have any infectious diseases and all kinds of stuff. They got to make sure that they can put you in general population. You know, they get some people in there that are so crazy and whacked out of their mind, they got to put them in a special unit. And so while I was in the hole, they put me in there with this girl named Nikki. Now, Nikki, she is telling me her story. And Nikki had drove her car through the front end of a church high on methamphetamine. And I was like, damn, girl, we got a lot in common. We were both, you know, methamphetamine addicts. And so we laughed and we giggled and we made it through our 3 days in the hole. And then that's when they put us in our units. We were both put in the same unit, which was Unit 2. And the way the unit was set up was it was a big building. You walk into the unit, and there is like a day room where there's a TV and some couches. And then there's a hallway, and it's got racks on racks on racks just lined up. All these beds. Bunk beds. Metal bunk beds.
Mom, do you want to do the sparkler or something?
Not right now, babe. There's like 60 people, 60 beds, you know, lined up. And then there's a big open area where you walk in. There's sinks, a whole bunch of bathroom stalls where somebody, you know, for the toilet, and then an open shower. They got 6 shower heads. And so we have male guards. Male guards that watch us shower. Male guards that watch us get in and out of our bed, you know. And the thing about this prison was, when I got there, it was winter time. And so it was cold, and, you know, they gave us two outfits, and they were like scrubs. They were pale yellow scrubs. They gave us Bob Barker Vans, Bob Barker flip-flops, 2 sports bras, and 2 pairs of white panties, okay? You ain't getting shit, all right? And so when I first got there, they assigned me to a job. They put me on the compound work crew, which is basically like fucking mowing the lawn, hoeing, all that hard work, you know? And so I'm out there and I'm mowing the lawn, and one of the guards walks by and she calls me over. She says, "Hey girl, I want to take you with me. I want you to work in laundry." Laundry? That's like one of the best places to work when you're in prison. You either want to work in laundry or you want to work where the food's at. And so I was like, hell yeah. And so she went and got my boss, the guard that was watching CWC, and she said, "Can I take Nicole? I want her to be in laundry." And she said, "Sure." And so she signed my papers over, and that's when I started my first day in laundry. That next morning, I woke up at 3 a.m. because we had to wake up by 2:30 a.m., get dressed, and be out in front of our unit at 3 a.m. Now, there was 7 units on the compound. 7 units, each unit held like 100 girls, and so all those units had a whole bunch of laundry. You would have a big-ass white laundry bag with the whites in it and then the yellows. And a guard in a white truck would pick me up and then like 6 other girls, and we would go from unit to unit, and it would take like 4 of us to pick up these big-ass laundry bags and throw them into the back of the truck. Okay, so we're stacking the laundry bags, stacking the laundry bags, stacking the laundry bags. And so 2 of us would sit on the top, 2 would sit on the outside of the truck, and then 2 would sit in the cab with the guard, and we'd go riding down the dirt road to the laundry, okay? So there was this well right beside the laundry where there was just stuff in that well. Well, there was a huge family of bullfrogs in this well. And so every morning when we would go down there, you could hear them. They were so loud. Every single day I wanted to go down there. And so we went down to the well one time, and we were down there, and I'm like, dude, we need to catch one. Because when I'm telling you, these bullfrogs were this big.
Were they as big as like...
They're big as your head, boy. And so they're big as your head. So I'm learning the ropes in laundry, okay? One of the things that I had to learn was that, you know, you had to pack these washers full, okay? The laundry wouldn't even get that clean because of how full we had to pack the washers. Because we only had from like 3 a.m. till noon to get the whole compound's laundry done. So we're down there hustling. During the wintertime, it wasn't so bad because it was cold outside and it was like a big open garage. But during the summertime, it wasn't no joke. You were pouring sweat doing all that laundry. So one of the things that I learned while we were down there is that you could turn the heat off to the dryers and you could get inside of them. Turn it on and it would flip you around and around like a roller coaster. We had a good time. We made the best out of it. One of the perks of working in laundry was we had our own radio, so we could listen to free world music, and we would get free world food because our guard would get us donuts, ribs, steak, fried chicken from KFC, and we was living the best life down there in laundry, listening to our rap music and eating our free world food, smoking cigarettes that we got snuck across from the boys' jail because there was the men's prison across the field. And so we were having a good time doing what we had to do in there, you know. I worked really, really hard to do my job and make sure I did it right. And one of the things that they noticed about me at the prison was I was a good worker. I was a good person. I tried to do the best I could. I tried to help the other girls when they were struggling. A lot of the girls that I was locked up with were also drug addicts. There was no violent offenders in this prison because it was just for people who were struggling with addiction, people who were thieves, that kind of stuff. It was a minimum security prison. We would have like this group where in our units we had a counselor and then we had 2 guards. And so our counselor, her name was Miss DeVos. Miss DeVos would sit down and we would all get in a circle in our chairs and we would talk about addiction and we would talk about recovery and we would talk about changing our lives and we would talk about getting sober. We would talk about how to, like when we get out, to not go with the crowd and not do the bad things and actually be different this time. And they were trying to teach us to be better. You know, they're trying to teach us life skills. They were trying to teach us that doing drugs wasn't the right thing to do. And so they were trying to help us learn. Now, one of the things in the prison was you had to earn status in this prison. I was a short timer, okay? So what that meant was no matter what happened to me, I was getting out when my TE date came up, okay? And then there was other girls that they weren't short time. And so if somebody wrote them up or they got in trouble, they could get time added to their sentence. Not me, though. No matter what, I was getting out when my date came, okay? Well, we had to write each other up for bad things. Like if somebody was stealing, you know, you had to call your person out because what they were trying to teach us was to be responsible and not go with the crowd. They called it confrontation circle. So every Friday we would have this big ass meeting in the gym with all of the prisoners, like 600 prisoners. And we would have to go in front of all the guards and pull all of our tickets. So you had to write tickets on people throughout the year, and that's how you got your status. Now, since I was short time, I let anybody write tickets on me because it wasn't going to affect me. You could write a ticket on me for doing something bad, and I still was going to get out when I was supposed to get out. And so I have got taken to the floor all the time. Girls took me to the floor for sexually acting out, lying, all kinds of crazy shit. And I had to go down there because, you know, I would just do it because I wanted them to be able to get out too. And that's how we helped each other. We helped each other by, you know, writing each other up for fake things and then getting our status so we could get out when we were supposed to get out. And so long story short, I did my time there and I rocked it and I got the fuck up out of that bitch, okay? In 2010, hey Renee, y'all, Renee's going to come tell her story Saturday night, just so y'all know. In 2010, I got out of prison and I paroled out to a sober living house in Little Rock. Now, the reason why I paroled out to Little Rock was because guess what? My probation officer said I was banned from the county. She said I was not allowed to come back to Garland County. And so I said, man, fuck that. I'm not coming back anyway. And I went to the sober living. I moved into sober living. I got a sponsor. I started going to meetings. I started working the 12 steps. I started doing everything that I had been taught to do. Nate, please stop, son. I told you I'm telling a story. I told you go upstairs and talk to Dad.
Okay, can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
You always say dad. Every single
Baby,
day.
you haven't talked to me all day except for now, and you know it's because I'm on this video.
Can I tell you something?
Tell me, son.
Dad's not gonna do it. He hasn't.
What, baby? Tell me.
I just told you.
What?
You're not.
What do you need from me, Bubba?
I just wanted. Dad said at midnight, and it's technically kind of always.
It's only 8 o'clock, son.
I hate you.
Okay, so here, let's keep on going. We gotta get this. We gotta get through this story, Nate. It's a long story, son. I'm working on it, trying to go as fast as I can. His daddy is home, so y'all don't be tripping. He hasn't, like I said, he hasn't addressed me all day long, except for I'm on video. So now he's trying to talk to me. So anyway, him and his daddy went and got fireworks, and he wants to pop them off, I think. So anyway, oh, I paroled out to the sober living house, and I was still on probation. I had probation or parole for 6 months. I got down there. I started doing what I was supposed to do. I got a job. My mom and dad sent me my car. I got my car back, and I had a full-time job. Quickly got promoted. I got promoted to assistant deli manager. I was making really, really good money. And I was working really hard. I was doing my steps. I was going to meetings. I was secretary of my home group. Now, I moved into the apartments next door because you can go from the sober living to the sober living apartments. So I moved into those apartments, and that's when I met Joe. Now, you guys have heard of Joe. Joe with the one leg. Only I didn't know he had one leg when I first met him. Now, when I met Joe, he was in the back of the sober living, and he had been there. He was there for the federal class because he had just got out of the federal penitentiary. And so he was standing outside, and he was completely bald, and he had sleeved out tattoos, dark blue jeans, Timberland boots, and a white V-neck polo shirt. And I was like, damn, boy, what's up? Well, we immediately hit it off, and I was like, you need to come over to my apartment. I live right over there. And he was like, I can't because I'm on house arrest. Like, I can only go to my job here and there. Well, y'all know this. We broke the rules, and he came to my apartment, and we were, hooking up. And that's when he went to take his pants off, and he had one leg. He had a prosthetic leg. And I said, man, were you not going to tell me that you didn't have a leg? And he was like, I didn't think you would like me. And I was like, why would I like you? I would just appreciate it if you had told me so I don't get caught off guard, Well, he ended up getting caught at my house. And so he got sentenced to 90 days of county jail. I was so upset. I felt so bad, and I felt so guilty. So the whole time he was in jail, I put money on his books, and I visited him every Thursday. And I wrote him letter after letter after letter. He asked me to call his mom. I called his mom and talked to her. I mean, I was ride or die for that dude. Now, he finally got out of jail, and this is when I relapsed. He got out of jail, he moved out of the feds, and he moved into his own apartment because he was off of parole. And so he got his own apartment. He started doing meth. And then I went over to my friend Ashley's house, and I started doing Roxy's. I had never ever done Roxy's before, at least not intravenously. And so when I shot up Roxy's for the first time, it was kind of like my first time shooting meth. I loved it. And so, as you guys can see, I love to do drugs. I like to escape. And then I also was always had to be with somebody. I went from Robert to LD to Adam to Joe. I was always taking a guy and replacing them, No, he wasn't doing anything before he went to jail because he was living in the feds, so he had to stay sober. And so I relapsed on the oxys, and I'm going over to his house, and he won't put a title on our relationship. I want to be his girlfriend. And this is also something you guys will see. I always got with these dudes who didn't appreciate me and didn't didn't take care of me, didn't treat me good. I was beautiful. I had beautiful, long, dark hair. I was very in shape, beautiful brown skin, you know, great personality, just a beautiful woman, you know. I worked really hard when I got out of prison. I lost 65 pounds because when I got out of prison, I was super depressed. I was upset with myself for gaining weight while I was in there. And I was like, I'm not gonna live like this. I've been sober for 6 years, Callie, Grandma. And so I was like, I can't live like this. I got to get in shape. And so I lost all this weight. I was beautiful, gorgeous, okay? And so I couldn't understand, like, why every time, like, these dudes weren't, like, I was selling myself short because I was trying to get with these dudes who didn't respect me, didn't care about me. And Joe, he loved me as a friend. He trusted me. He gave me the extra key to his apartment. I would go over to his apartment and clean his house when he was out of town. Like, we got to be really good friends. Every Sunday night we would have crab leg Sundays, and we would order movies off of Netflix or whatever TV show, Redbox, and we would eat crab legs and watch movies, and we were high. You know, we were high. Now, in this process, I met Tara. Now, you guys have heard of Tara. You'll learn a lot about Tara in my story now. I met Tara, and Tara had been a drug addict way longer than I could ever think about being a drug addict. And Tara was addicted to smoking crack, okay? I got kicked out of the sober living apartments. I moved in with my counselor's daughter, and then I moved out of my counselor's daughter's apartment and moved in with my friend Tara. Now, Tara was smoking crack. I was smoking crack with her. Now, you remember at the beginning of my story how I told you I was mad at Adam for smoking crack, and I would not do that because that was just nasty, crack as whack. Well, now I'm a full-blown crack addict. I'm smoking crack and I'm shooting crack up. I'm putting it in a spoon and breaking it up and going to town. And I am bad. I'm shooting coke, I'm shooting meth, I'm smoking crack, and I'm living in squalor. When I tell you guys, she had the most beautiful house, but it was disgusting. There was food all over the place, cat piss, cat hair. I had no bed to sleep in. I was sleeping on this little red ottoman, and she had a daughter. Her daughter was like 4 years old. Okay, and we're staying up, we're smoking crack every single night, and all this little girl wanted was her mom's attention. And now that I think about that, I feel so guilty, and I hate that I did that shit, but I gotta tell y'all the truth. I gotta tell y'all what happened. And so I'm getting bad off. I'm bad off now. I'm losing a lot of weight. I'm working though. I'm working every day at Kroger, making lots of money, got promoted, went out of town with my boss to Memphis. I mean, I'm making moves at Kroger, but they're starting to notice that I'm getting real gaunt in my face, and I'm just kind of like tweaky at work. Like I'm starting to show. I'm starting to show because I can't handle it. I'm doing so many drugs now, uppers, downers, and all-arounders. It's getting really, really bad. After a night, it was probably like 4 nights of smoking crack, like back to back to back to back to back to back, having dudes over, having sex with the dudes to get more free crack, all kinds of stuff like that. I called my old sponsor, Robin, and I told her, I think I need help. I think I need to go to treatment. And so I talked to my boss at Kroger, and I asked her if I could take family medical leave, and she said, of course, of course. And I took 30 days off of work, and I put myself into treatment. I put myself into treatment, and I did really well, as usual. I always do well in treatment. I listen to what they tell me to do. I do all the stuff. I get a sponsor. I do the steps. I do what they tell me to do. And so I went from the treatment center. I called Tara, and I told her I can't live with you anymore. And I moved out of Tara's house, and I moved in with my old sponsor, Robin. Now, in the process of me going from Tara's house to Robin's house, I had met this guy named Tyler, and he was staying at the sober living house that I used to stay at. Because, see, I was going there all the time because I had friends there, and because we were doing meetings, and we were playing softball and all this fun stuff, right? Sober stuff. And so I met this guy named Tyler. Now, Tyler is a cocaine addict, and he is also very paranoid. And he relapsed. I relapsed, and that's when he kidnapped me. One night he came to my work. He had my car. He picked me up from my job. I got into the driver's side, and he sat in the passenger side, and I went to drive us home. And that's when he grabbed my arm. He injected me with cocaine. He told me to shut the fuck up and drive to Chaz's house. And so, like, I'm scared for my life. I'm like sweating because he just shot me up with like so much cocaine that my heart's racing out of my chest. He grabs my phone, he pulls the SIM card out of it, he grabs my purse, he throws it out the window. I mean, I'm scared. He gets me to Chaz's apartment, sits me on this chair, and ties me to the chair. Okay, my friend Chaz is there. I've known Chaz for like 5 years, and he's like, dude, what is your problem? What are you doing? What are you doing? You know, this was 2011. And so I'm like chilling, you know, like I'm chilling, but I'm not chilling. I'm scared, right? And I'm like, dude, you guys need to get me out of here. Like, Tyler, please just let me go. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not mad at you. Like, I don't know what is wrong. He had just been banging coke and banging coke and banging coke. And so somehow, some way, Chaz talked him into letting me go. And he untied me, gave me my phone and my SIM card and my keys, and I ran. I ran out that door, and I got in my car. I drove down the interstate, found my purse, and I freaked the fuck out. I was like tripping, y'all. I moved in with Robin, and I was trying to sober up. I was trying to do the right thing. I was trying to get myself back on track, and all kinds of stuff. And so probably like a good 60, 70 days goes by, and I need to go to treatment again. And so I put myself back in treatment again, okay? I still have my job at Kroger. They are literally helping me so much. I go to treatment again. So now I've been to treatment like 4 or 5 times, okay? I went to that same treatment center like 3 times. And so I come out, I move in with Robin, and I'm working at Kroger. I'm trying to stay on the straight and narrow, but it's just the obsession. The obsession to use was so great. And so I started getting high, and I started shooting meth, and I started shooting Roxy's again. And I'm spending my whole check. I'm spending my whole check on pills and meth. I am losing my mind. I'm getting real skitzed out. And I decide, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to go by and see Tara. Now, this is the beginning of the week. I go by and I see Tara. I've been at Gerald's house shooting Roxy's and meth. And I leave Gerald's and I go to Tara's house. I get to Tara's house, and for some reason I started hallucinating that there were M30s, the M boxes, all over the floor in her living room. And so I get down on my hands and knees, and I pick up what I think are all these Roxy 30s. And I put them in a spoon and I bang them. Y'all, I must have shot cat litter or something, because it made me really, really sick. And I spiked a real high fever, and I went walking out the front door. Now, I was hallucinating so bad. I thought the cops were coming. I thought there were helicopters, all kinds of stuff. So the next door neighbor calls 911. The police come up to me, and they're like, ma'am, are you all right? And I was skitzed out. Like, I was like, and so they put me, they called an ambulance, and the ambulance came and got me, and they took me to St. Vincent's Hospital. Now, I'm in St. Vincent's, y'all, and I'm there for like 4 hours, and they're not doing shit to help me. They're not doing shit. I told them I was a drug addict. I told them, you know, everything I had done, and they're not doing shit. And so I left AMA. I said, fuck this, and I left. And I walked out. I had a t-shirt on, a pair of boxers, and some flip-flops. And I took off walking down the street. Now I'm walking down the street. It's like midnight. It's dark. It's scary. Every car that passes me by, I'm hallucinating that it's some guy saying, hey girl, how much? How much do I gotta pay to get a BJ? And I'm screaming, I'm yelling, I'm cussing at the cars driving by. Well, I walk all the way down Markham Avenue to Kroger, my job. And it was a 24-hour Kroger. And I walk in, I go upstairs, I sit at my desk, and I call Robin. I said, girl, I need you to come get me. I'm high, and I don't know what to do. She came and got me. Her boyfriend went and got my car, and I went back to her house. She cooked me dinner. I tried to rest, and that next morning, I left. And I went right back over to Gerald's house. So now I'm at Gerald's house, and I have to work. Like, I have to go into my job that next day. And so I'm at Gerald's, I'm banging Roxy's, I'm getting high. I go to work that next day. I'm at work, Mr. Bobby's there, and I'm frying. I had 100-piece chicken to fry. It was the order. And so I'm over there, I'm frying the chicken, but I'm hallucinating. And I'm talking to people that aren't even there. And Mr. Bobby walks up to me. He's a cute little black man with a little afro. And he said, "Girl, I don't know what you're doing, but I got you. You need to get out of here." And so he took over the fried chicken, and I left. I left, and I went back over to Gerald's house, and I continued to shoot meth, shoot Roxy's, and I'm hallucinating. This whole time I'm hallucinating. Okay, I'm calling Joe. "Joe, you got to come get me." I'm crying. I'm telling him I love him. I want to marry him. I'm sorry if I ever made him mad at me. All these things. I'm telling him all the things that I'm seeing. And he's just like, and so he comes out there. He comes out there because that was the kind of friend he was. Like, he would rescue me, and he can't find me. I don't know what I did, but I'm sure I told him where I was at, and I'm sure I wasn't there when he came. And so he can't find me. Well, then I'm at the trailer, and I'm sitting in the back bedroom. Gerald gave me a Seroquel. I'm sitting in the back bedroom of this trailer. It's shot out. There are syringes everywhere, bottled waters everywhere, caps everywhere, everything, okay, needles, everything. And I'm sitting in this recliner, okay, and I'm looking at the ceiling in this trailer, and Cy from Duck Dynasty is looking at me. Cy from Duck Dynasty is popping his head out of this vent and talking to me. And he's talking to me, and I'm talking to him, and I think that he is going to catapult me out of this trailer, okay? And so I'm having a full-on conversation with Cy. I was so scared. He didn't look like regular Cy. He looked like mean Cy, and he had a pocket knife on him. And I thought he was going to cut the rope, and he was going to send me, flying out of the trailer. And I probably sat there for a good 5 hours just talking to that damn air vent, thinking it was Cy from Duck Dynasty, okay? I went and tried to lay down with Barry and his boyfriend, and I laid right in the middle of them, and I maybe laid down for like 10 minutes, but the hallucinations and my anxiety and how I was feeling were just so strong, I got up. And that's when I made the decision to walk out of the front door of that trailer at 3 a.m. and start walking down the road. So I'm walking down the road, and I see this lady's trailer, and I swear to you, when I tell y'all, it was like a mound of weed brownies were on her porch. So I run over to her trailer, and I grab a stick, and I start sweeping all these weed brownies off her porch, right? She pokes her head out the window at 3 a.m., and I scared the shit out of her. And she pokes her head back in the window, and she calls 911. I'm on the porch, and all of a sudden the blue and red lights come up, and what I see is a police officer jumping out of his car and brandishing his gun. And so I'm on the porch, and I'm going, "Ho! Ho!" all this stuff. And he's like, ma'am, calm down, everything's okay. What's going on? Are you all right? And so he grabs my phone, and he calls my mom. He calls my mom, and that's when my mom tells him, "My daughter's a drug addict. Please take her to the ER. She is in a bad way. She needs help." And so he calls an ambulance, okay? Ambulance comes and gets me. I am scared for my life. I think that these people in this ambulance are trying to kill me. I think they're trying to shoot me up with cocaine. And so I'm yelling at them. I do not want them near me. I'm kicking them. I'm being all kinds of combative inside of the ambulance. And, I feel so bad. I wish I could find those ambulance drivers and apologize to them for real. So they get me, and I get to the ER. Okay, I get to the ER. I'm going to sit in here, Neil. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And tell my story?
Yeah.
Okay, I get to the ER, and now I'm just like really bad hallucinating, okay? Like, I'm so dehydrated. I haven't drank anything in a long time, okay? And I'm getting really bad. The ER nurses and doctor come into the room, and they say, "What did you take? Did you take bath salts?" And I told them no, and I told them, "I've shot up methamphetamine. I've been shooting up Roxy's. I took a Seroquel and some Xanax." And so they give me a shot of Thorazine and Halidol, and they're trying to calm me down. They're trying to help me to calm down so my body can go to sleep and I can rest. Well, they came back probably like 10 minutes later and I'm still not asleep. So they give me another round of Thorazine and Halidol. And this is when my whole body started shutting down. My kidneys, my liver, all my internal organs began to shut down. And I went into a drug-induced coma. They called my mom and dad and they said, your daughter, she's in a coma. We don't know if she's going to make it. We need you to come down here. And so my parents make the drive from Hot Springs to Little Rock, which is about 45 minutes. And they come in and my dad is devastated. My mom said my dad fell on the floor just weeping because he couldn't believe that his firstborn daughter was in a coma in the hospital. After all these years that they had tried to help me, they had tried to get me to get help. They had tried to get me to go to rehab. I would go and get better and then relapse. This was just like the worst nightmare that could ever happen, you know? And my mom said that they didn't brush my hair. They didn't wipe me down. They didn't do anything. So my mom got a warm rag. She was cleaning me. She was brushing my hair, cleaning me. She said I had scabs all over my arms. I had bruises all over my arms, track marks all over my body, my chest, my arms, my legs, my hands, everywhere. And so I woke up, like 7 days later, I wake up. And I knew that I was in the hospital and I knew that I had been high at Gerald's house, but I didn't know how long I had been there. I didn't remember anything. It was like everything just went black. Everything just went black. And so my mom looked at me, she said, do you know how long you've been here? And I said, no. And she said, you've been in here for 7 days, Nicole. You know, and they were very upset with me. And she was like, where's your car? And that's what my dad said, where's your car? Oh my God, where's your car? And I was like, it's at Gerald's house. And so I got out of the hospital. I went over to Gerald's house, got my car, and went back to Hot Springs with my mom and dad. Left all my stuff at my sponsor, Robin's house. And that's when I told my parents I'm going to put myself in treatment again. And so I called back the same place that I've been going to treatment, which is the RCA in Little Rock. And I told them, you know, I don't have any insurance. I really need help. Please help me. Please let me come. And they were like, we don't have any way to let you come in. We can't just let you come in for free. And I'm crying and I'm begging. And they finally agreed to let me come, but I had to pay $500. Now, I paid the $500 and I went back to treatment. Okay, and this time I'm like, I'm gonna change. I'm never going back. Like this bullshit's for the birds, right? While I was in there, I couldn't separate myself from Joe. I was thinking about him. I was mailing him letters from the rehab. It was just stupid because he wasn't worried about me. He was living his life, you know? Well, when I got out of rehab, instead of moving in, no, I did. I got out of rehab. I moved back into the sober living, the one that I had started out in when I got out of prison. And I maybe made it 2 months and then I relapsed. It was like, I think that I had just done so much damage and I had just gotten to a place where I kind of just gave up on myself. I was like, I'm never going to get sober. I'm going to die. I'm going to die a drug addict. And I'm going to die with a needle hanging out of my arm. And I kind of had just gotten to this point where I had no hope left. I had no hope that I would ever be able to live a productive lifestyle. I had no hope at all. And so now I am living out of my car. Okay, this is all I have left is my vehicle. And I call my friend Lawrence and I ask him if I can rent a room from him. Lawrence is like an old school pimp. He sells pills. I'm living at his house. Somehow, some way, I still held on to my job at Kroger, right? I'm working at Kroger. I'm walking from Lawrence's house to Kroger every day for my job. but I'm getting high. I'm shooting oxys. I'm eating Xanaxes. I have to have oxy every single day to go to work. If I don't have it, I'm sick at work. And so my drug dealer is coming to my job and serving me. I'm buying them all the time. Like, I was just so dependent. Well, one day, damn Gerald was in North Little Rock, and he was like, come get me and I'll buy you a Roxy. And I was like, okay. So I went down to North Little Rock to get him. I didn't have any insurance on my car, and my tags were expired. And we had just gotten done shooting up a Roxy in the car wash, or the car wash parking lot, the fun wash parking lot. And I pull out of the fun wash, and I pull out, and the cop gets behind me. Cop gets behind me and pulls me over for my no tags, you know. And while she was pulling me over, she sees Gerald bend over and throw something underneath the passenger side. So she immediately has him get out of the car, searches the car, and finds a bottle of Xanax underneath his seat. So she cuffs him up and puts him in the car. Well, in the process of her pulling us over, I had taken my syringe and boop, put it in my secret hiding spot. And she said, I have to take your car, but I'll let you go. And so she impounded my car and sent me on my way. So I call Lawrence. I'm like, you got to come get me. My car just got impounded, and now shit's hitting the fan. All I had was my car. What am I going to do? How am I going to get it anywhere? How am I going to go to my job? What am I going to do? And so I put my car for sale on Facebook Marketplace. And I found this lady that bought my car out of the impound and paid me $2,000. And I signed my title over to her.
Hey, Mom. When are you going to be done with that?
Probably like 30 more minutes. So I signed.
Can we do the sparklers after you're done?
I don't know, Nate. So I signed. No. Talk to your dad about it.
He won't do it.
So I signed my title over to her. And it's late, Nate. I signed my title over to her. Well, hold on, and I'll do it for you. If you don't stop bothering me, I'm not going to. I sign it over to her, and they give me the money. I give her the car. She goes and gets it out at impound. Now I got $2,000. You know, I give $1,000 to my mom and dad, and I go on a full-on bender, just buying pills and getting fucked up. I was tired of living with Lawrence, and I met this couple at Kroger, Hunter and Kaylee. And they said they needed a roommate, and that I could sleep in their living room on the couch, and they would take me to work every day. And I was like, perfect. And so I move in with these complete strangers that I basically never met in my whole entire life. I'm sleeping on their couch, and they're taking me to work every day, and they kept their word. Probably about a month and a half, 2 months into working and living there, I boop. After a month of living there, I was like, you know what? I'm bored. We should have a party. We should invite some people over. And so we invite some friends over, and that's when I met my husband. So my husband come over, and he's sitting on the couch. And I look over at him, and he was just so cute. He had red hair. He was dressed super nice, just super sweet guy. He like started noticing me, saying hi. And I was like, hey, what's up? You know? And so we started jiving. We started talking to each other. And that's when we decided we went and got a hotel room. And when I tell you guys, we stayed up. We didn't do anything. We stayed up all night, talking to each other about what we wanted to do, how we wanted to live our lives, if we wanted to get married, if we wanted to have kids, all kinds of stuff like that, okay? And so we hit it off. Well, like 2 days later, he calls me, and he's like, do you want to get another room? And I was like, what do you think I am, a hoochie mama? And he's like, no, we can go on a date, you know? And so he came and picked me up. At that time, I was babysitting my roommate's kids, and he took us to the park. And I'll never forget it. We were walking down by the river, and he put his arm around me. And you know that feeling you get when you really, really like somebody, and your heart goes into your stomach? That's what it was like. I was like, oh my gosh, I really, really like him a lot. I really, really liked him. He opened the car door for me. He was so kind to me. He went out of his way to make me feel beautiful about just amazing. I told him, I said, I have a court date and I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to get there. And so he comes and he brings me his car and I drive his truck to court, and he just took such good care of me, you know. Little did I know that he also struggled with addiction. Probably like a week into our relationship, I realized that he had an addiction also, but at the time he was doing the methadone program and he was prescribed methadone prescription of pills. And so I started taking his methadone. And when I tell you guys, this was horrible for me because I was taking so many and I was nodding out. I was falling asleep everywhere. I was talking to myself. My hair started to fall out. I had a huge bald spot right here where my hair fell out from my body just being stressed. I wasn't eating. I was doing meth and eating all these pills, and my body was falling apart. Neil took me to meet his parents for the first time, and I was so nervous, and I met his mom and his dad, and I'll never forget his dad. He says, "What are your intentions with my son?" And I started crying because I was like, oh my God, he hates me. And I told him, I said, I want to have a husband. I want to be married. I want him to be happy. I want us to have a family. Like, I really knew that I was going to marry Neil. I knew I was going to marry him. I knew we were going to be together forever. I took him to meet my mom and dad, and my mom sat us down and she said, "You both struggle with addiction. This is going to be the hardest thing you ever did. Are you willing to put in the work? Do you think that you can do this?" You know? And we both were adamant that we could do it. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff I could share with you guys about our struggles in addiction, about how we, you know, would try to get sober and then relapse, try to get sober and then relapse. There was even one point where Neil went to treatment. His family tricked him into going to treatment. They told him it was this great place, and it was like terrible. It was this faith-based treatment center out in Pocahontas, Arkansas. Okay? And when I tell you guys, they had no medical professionals, no psychiatrists, no doctors. It was just like one of those places where they pray and they expect you to stay sober. My husband went through cold turkey methadone withdrawal. Okay? He was prescribed 10 methadone 10 pills a day, and he went up there and he kicked cold turkey. He was dying. They took him and they made him drive this van that was pulled behind this other. It was horrible, so dangerous, in an ice storm. Like, it was bad. 2 weeks into treatment, he was like, "Fuck this shit, I cannot take this anymore." And he left and he got a hotel room and he called me, and honestly, you guys, I couldn't blame him. I couldn't blame him. I was surprised he made it 2 weeks, okay? They were unequipped. It was horrible. They were just using the boys, okay? They were using them and probably collecting money from like a nonprofit or something like that. It was really bad. Well, his dad went and picked him up, brought him back to Little Rock, and they were really upset with us, you know, but we were trying. We were like, we're going to get better. We're going to change. We're going to get sober. We're going to put in the work. I had gotten a little apartment. I started waiting tables at Cajun's Wharf, and we were like trying. We were trying. He got a job. We were trying to change and trying to do better. In the process of trying and, you know, all that good stuff, we ended up getting pregnant. In 2013, I found out I was pregnant with my little boy Nathaniel, and I tried so hard to get sober. This is the hardest thing for me to talk about because I know so many people judge me for this, but it's the truth. I tried to get sober. My husband tried to help me get sober. And one thing that I am when I'm on drugs is if I'm going to do something and you try to stop me, like, it's going to be hell to pay. And so I would yell at my husband. I would scream at him. I would accuse him of cheating on me. I was just very, very just attacking. Well, during my pregnancy, I would sober up and then I would relapse. I would sober up and I would relapse. The main drug I was abusing during my pregnancy was methamphetamine. July 3rd, I went into labor. I called my husband. He was at work. I said, "I'm going into labor." And he came home and took me to the hospital. When I got there, I had been up for about 3 days on meth, and I was only 1 centimeter dilated. And so they let me go back home, and I stayed at my mother-in-law's house with my husband, called my mom. My mom flew from New York because my parents had moved to New York because they couldn't watch me kill myself anymore. They were so upset that they had to separate themselves from me. And so they moved to New York, and my mom, I called her. My mom somehow made a flight and came down and made it to see me have my little boy. I was in labor for hours at my mother-in-law's house. When I tell you the pain that I felt was like a knife going across my back. That's how bad the contractions were. When I got back to the hospital at 8:30 that night, July 3rd, I was 8.5 centimeters dilated, and my belly had dropped, and that baby was coming. I knew that I was dirty. I knew that I had drugs in my system, and so did my husband, and we were afraid for our lives. We were afraid for our baby's life. We were afraid that they were going to take him from us. It was horrible. I couldn't enjoy it because I was so afraid that they were going to take Nate. I gave birth to Nathaniel. When I tell you guys, he was the most perfect, kind, sweet, loving, quiet little baby. He didn't cry a lot. He was just a good baby. He was completely healthy. And we left 2 days later, and I came home. We had made a nursery in that room over there where his bedroom's at now. Me and Neil were living in that room over there, and his parents were in this room here. I started being a mom, and I started white knuckling it, and I stayed sober for 3 months. 3 months, I was able to breastfeed and do the right thing. 3 months in, and let me stress this to you guys, I didn't get a sponsor. I didn't go to meetings. I didn't get into therapy. I tried to white knuckle it. I white knuckled it for 3 months. 3 months in, I got this bright idea. I deserve to have a Xanax. It won't be that bad. And a Xanax took me right back to methamphetamine and oxys. And I was back to the races. I relapsed, and my husband followed me. He relapsed too. So now we're both relapsed. He's working. I got a kid. I'm trying to be a mom, but I'm also getting high. I got into an argument with my friend Tara. Y'all remember the girl I told you all about back there in the story. Tara got mad at me, and she called CPS, and the CPS came to my house, and I failed a drug test. Bottom line, I failed a drug test for opiates and benzos. My husband failed for opiates because he had a prescription for benzos, and they told us they weren't going to take Nate. They said, we'll put a protection plan in. You can go to treatment. Your husband can do outpatient, and it'll be okay. They changed their minds, and they came back, and they took Nathaniel. They told me I had to pack his stuff and bring him to the office, and so I packed all his stuff. I took him down there. It was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I cried so much. I wanted to beg them to just give me another chance. But I had known all my chances were up. All my chances were up. I had done so much bullshit. Like, this was what I deserved this. My son didn't deserve it, but I deserved it, right? I needed to have consequences for my actions. So the day I gave my son to CPS, I put myself into detox. I went straight into detox. I stayed at detox for 5 days. 5 days in, they were going to let me leave, and it was a Sunday. And I was like, y'all cannot put me out on a Sunday. Like, I need to go straight into treatment. And so they let me stay an extra day, and I went straight from detox into treatment right away. Now, while I was in treatment, I had to go to court. I had to see my son. There were so many things that I was leaving the treatment center for. And while I left, I ended up relapsing on Xanax. So I relapsed on Xanax. My husband relapses on Xanax. We're both codependent. And we needed to be away from each other is what we needed. We needed to be separated, okay? So one night we drive to the meeting. We're in the druggie buggy. Hey, Tara, and I told my husband, bring me a Xanax up to the treatment center and drop it off underneath the rock by the front door. And so, my husband, being codependent, and does it, and guess what happened? I was caught red-handed We pull up in the druggy buggy, and there's Neil dropping off the Xanax for me. Boom, I'm busted. Now they busted me. They know what's been going on. They know why. They know why I've been falling asleep during groups. And they called a meeting. They called a meeting of my caseworker. They called a meeting of all the counselors, the owner of the treatment center, everything. And that's when they set me down and they said, we could kick you out and we could press charges against you. They were pissed. And they said, but we're not going to do that. We're going to give you a chance and we'll let you know if we're going to kick you out or not. And so for the next 2 weeks, I had no contact with my husband. I was not allowed to call him. I was not allowed to write him. I wasn't allowed to see him at visitations. Nothing. Okay? And so for the next 2 weeks, I got to work and I listened to everything they told me to do. And I graduated treatment 2 weeks later. Now, Neil came and picked me up. And I remember when he picked me up, I said, you know, he had told me he had gotten on Suboxone. Now, remember, you guys, I've been to treatment, 5-6 times now? Every time I've relapsed, I've tried many, many times, done the 12 steps and everything. I was mad. I was mad at him because I thought that I had always looked at Suboxone as a bad thing. I didn't think that it was being in recovery. I thought that getting on Suboxone was trading addictions. I thought that you weren't really trying if you were. And my husband told me, he said, I was on Suboxone back in 2000. It saved my life. It really helped me. If I had stuck with the program, I would have been okay. Right? And so a couple days went by. I tried to do it on my own. And that's when I called my mom. I called my sponsor. I called my therapist and my counselor, my psychiatrist. And we all had a meeting. And that's when I decided I would get on MAT too. Best decision I ever made. Best decision I ever made. I got on MAT. I stopped craving. I started being able to focus on my recovery. I started being able to go to meetings and not worry about doing drugs. My husband was working a full-time job and got promoted to assistant store manager. I got a full-time job and got promoted to trainer. I took my hair follicle test and I passed. I was doing so good. I was going to parenting classes. My little boy was with the most amazing foster care family. Me and my husband were going out there and visiting him, picking him up, doing everything they told us to do, everything. I was working the 12 steps. I was leading meetings. I was doing the damn thing. They were so proud of me at the Suboxone treatment program because I would go to meetings there too and I would do therapy there. And I was working it. I was doing it, y'all. I wasn't relapsing. I wasn't relapsing and my life was changing. My life was changing. I was doing good for once. I felt like I was getting better. My life started to improve so much. My husband's life was improving. We were both working so hard. 6 months into it, they let us have unsupervised visits where we could take Nate to McDonald's. We could take him to Chuck E. Cheese. We could do all these things with him. And I remember taking him to Chuck E. Cheese, seeing his little face light up. Every time we would have to take him back, he would cry. It was so hard. It was the hardest thing that I've ever went through in my whole entire life. It was torture. It was so bad. Because here's the thing, you guys. We were sick and we needed help. CPS didn't give us any help. I want to make that really clear. CPS didn't help us with one thing. Nothing. No therapy, no helping us with, child services, nothing. We did everything. I had to call CPS and remind them to drug test me. Me and my husband would drive up there. They would have us wait 45 minutes just to get somebody's fat ass to get up from behind their desk and come give us a drug screen. We fought tooth and nail with CPS because they were not doing their jobs at all. Okay? I remember it was our court date and it was time for us to go get our son back. It was time for our case to get closed. We had been having spend the night visits, everything. And we go in front of the judge. And my son's attorney, the attorney ad litem, is doing everything in her power to try and keep us from getting our son back. And when I got up on that stand, I mean, I let her have it. I said, we are working so hard. I brought our nurse, our counselor to come up and testify on our behalf, because those people were trying to keep us in the system just a little bit longer. Okay? And everybody went up there and they testified in our name, and they stood up for us, and they granted us our son back. And we walked out of that courtroom with my son with us. And it was the best feeling in the whole wide world. I was so happy, you guys, so happy. But now I don't know how to be a mom sober. I don't know what to do. Now that was the hardest thing I've ever been through, was learning how to be a mom sober. I was always questioning myself. I was always thinking I was doing a bad job. It was so hard. It was so hard. But like I said, I had a sponsor. I was going to meetings. I was doing therapy. I was doing the right thing. And I just engulfed myself into recovery. I engulfed myself into working hard and doing the right thing. And slowly but surely, I started to get myself back on track. I started to not be so depressed and sad and crying all the time. And I worked really, really hard, you guys. Really, really hard. In 2016, when I had my year sober, my sponsor said, you know, you can tell your story. Why don't you go tell your story at the treatment center that you graduated from? And I was like, I would love that. And I went and told my story at Oasis. And when I tell you guys, there wasn't a dry eye in the room, and I was crying too. But after I got done telling my story, I was like, I have to do this. I want to help people. Just like I was helping people in my addiction. I know it was the wrong help, but I was helping people. I was saving people. I was paying their fines. I was helping them get their life together. I've always done that. I've always tried to help others. I've always tried to go the extra mile to make other people happy and help them. And so now, it was the best feeling in the world. I was like, I want to do this. I want to help people. So I decided, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a Facebook account, and I'm going to share my story. And that's when I found the world of Facebook recovery, the online world of recovery. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And I started sharing my story, and I started sharing the honest truth about being on Suboxone. And so many people laughed at me. So many people told me I wasn't worthy to tell my story, and I got so discouraged that I deleted my Facebook account, and I said, fuck that, I'm never going back there again. But I wasn't ready to totally give up on the dream of helping people. So I started a YouTube channel, Real Talk Recovery. I started my YouTube channel, and I told my husband, I said, mark my words, I'm going to make a job out of this. And I think he kind of looked at me like, whatever, girl, you know. But guess what? A bitch got a job because of her YouTube channel. So I'm working it. I'm sharing my story. We're doing recovery groups. We're doing meetings every day at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Okay, I got meditation groups. I got women where we're doing online Zoom meditations together. 10 women, 20 women in a group, and we are kicking ass. I work in the morning. I come home and we do recovery. You know, and my son, he's with me every step of the way. My son, he knows what recovery is. He knows that his mom is in sobriety now, and that I work to help other people, okay? And so I'm doing it. I'm doing it. 2017, 2018, okay? 2019 was my best year. 2019, the Tamron Hall show has me on their talk show. 2019, I go on Death's Channel with 500,000 people, Lockdown 23-1. 2019, I'm on this huge podcast. All these opportunities were coming up where I could share my story about being on medication-assisted treatment and how it changed my life, and how my life is better now, and how I'm able to be a mom, and how I'm able to help all these people, and all these opportunities were coming up. Then this doctor came over on my YouTube and commented, Dr. B? Who's that? Who's this guy? What's this guy want from me? Right? And I saw his comment, and I reached out to him, and he said, we want to do video with you. We would love to have you on our channel. We would love to work with you. And I said, okay, come on, let me interview you. Now, Dr. B is a doctor. He's an addiction specialist. He has an MAT program. He has an intensive outpatient program. He has a harm reduction institute. He has a wound care clinic, and he has a nonprofit. and all kinds of other stuff. Project Sanctuary, many, many things. He's a professor, all kinds of things. And so I interviewed him on my YouTube channel, and I remember him sharing his story, and I asked him, I said, why do you care about helping people like us? Why do you care about helping me? Why do you care about helping addicts? And he looked at me. I said, do you have somebody in your family that struggled with addiction? And that's when he stopped and he looked down, and I felt like I had said something wrong because I didn't want to offend him. And that's when he looked at me and he said, my dad passed away from addiction when I was 4 years old. And the moment he told me that, I knew right then that I wanted to work with him. I wanted to help any way I could help other people, because I knew that his heart was in it for the right reasons. I knew that he really had a genuine passion and care and concern to help people. And so we continued doing videos together, you know, doing little collaborations and stuff like that. And then in November of 2019, he called me because we had each other's phone numbers. You know, we were doing a lot of videos together. And he said, I might have a job for you next year. Would that be something that you were interested in doing? And I remember this flood of emotions just came over me, because it was everything I ever wanted to do. I wanted to be able to help people. I wanted to be able to work in recovery and actually make a difference in people's lives. And when he asked me that, I broke down. I started crying. I said, thank you for even considering me. And he said, well, it's not for sure. And if I do, I'll let you know. And so January of 2020, Austin called me, and that's when they asked me, they said they gave me a job. They said, you can come work for us now. And that changed my life forever. When I tell you guys that I've never had a job where I was actually paid what I was worth, like now I actually have a job where I'm paid what I'm worth. I get to make a difference in people's lives every single day. And I am so grateful. Dr. B, Austin, and Dr. G are like my mentors. Austin is amazing. He has taught me so much about my social media, about social media in general. He's a genius. Dr. B helps me with my recovery. Dr. G is a psychiatrist, so he really helps me with this. And they basically took me under their wing, like I was their daughter. And that's how I look at them. I told Dr. B, I said, I hope this doesn't offend you, but you're like my second dad, you know? And they are. They have been so good to me, and they gave me an opportunity. I was working at a little fucking rinky-dink sandwich shop, and I was working for Hallmark, making less than $10 an hour. Okay, I wasn't even making $200 every 2 weeks. That's how bad it was. All right, it was horrible. And so I first started working for them. It started out real kind of slow. I started out by just checking Dr. B's emails, helping with his YouTube channel, and answering the phones for him. And little by little, I started getting more responsibilities and able to help in different ways. And now I'm a jack of all trades. I do everything. I'm tapering. I'm only on 2 milligrams methadone daddy. I've been on it for 5 years. And I've been tapering though. And it was just the best thing. And so everything that they believe in, I believe in, our beliefs like line up, you know? And so it was just amazing. Me and my husband were able to get ahead financially. We were able to start saving money. And then tragedy hit. Neil's dad passed away. And his dad had a heart attack. Unexpected, totally unexpected, okay? In fact, my son was at their house being babysat, and Neil's dad was not feeling good. He had like the flu or something, and he coughed. And when he coughed, a clot delodged and went straight to his heart, and he had a massive heart attack. And it was just totally unexpected. And his mom, you know, was going through so much. She was so upset. We thought we had to take him off life support because he was just brain dead. And it was the hardest thing because we all had to go in and say bye to him. And it looked like he was breathing, but it was the machine doing it for him. You know, and what y'all don't know is Like my husband and his dad talked about everything. Whenever my husband was struggling with anything, because Neil struggles with depression, he could talk to his dad and they would go for a ride, and they were just really close. Like they had a really good relationship. And so when that happened, that really took a toll on Neil, and he really struggled for a while with that. He was able to pull through though and hang on in there, and we buried his dad. And at this time, Neil was just getting he was getting a lot of like raises and bonuses at his job, but then what his job was doing was putting more responsibility on him and taking advantage of him and working him to the bone. I'm talking bad, y'all. To the point where like he was dropping weight. You could just tell like they were running him down. In 2020, he started to struggle, and 2020 was a bad year for everybody, and that's when he fell back and he relapsed. And when that happened, I didn't know if I was going to make it. I didn't know if I was going to be able to stay sober. I was really scared, but I had a support system. I had people I could talk to. I had Real Talk Recovery. And so I was honest about it. And I shared what happened, and I asked for support, and I asked for help. And we got through it. And he has 6 months sober. He just celebrated 6 months sober June 22nd. And what I learned in that moment with that happening last year was that I treat strangers and I help people all the time who have addictions. And I'm so nice to them and I help them. But when my husband was struggling, I was horrible to him. I was cussing at him and yelling at him and telling him he was a piece of shit junkie and all kinds of horrible things. And so I realized that I was such a shitty person because I could treat people who were strangers better than I treat my best friend. And that was so hard for me to look at because I was so afraid that he was going to die. And I thought that I was going to lose him forever. And the fear and the resentment and the anger just took a hold of me. And I was so bad, y'all. I was so mean to him. But I had to learn that what I had been doing all these years was enable him and help him to where he didn't hit rock bottom. And I immediately knew. I've known my husband for 10 years. We've been together for a long time. I immediately knew, and I knew he was struggling at his job and that he had a lot of stress on him, and he doesn't know how to be assertive. He doesn't know how to say, no, I can't work all these hours, or no, I'm struggling, I need a day off. And so they took advantage of him, and they knew that he wouldn't say no. And so he did the only thing that he knew how to do, how to cope with the stress, and he went and he used. And I knew right away, my husband can't get nothing past me when it comes to that kind of stuff. I knew from the tone in his voice, from the look in his eyes. And of course, at first he tried to not tell me that it wasn't true, but I knew there was no way I was accepting no for an answer. And we struggled, me and my son went and stayed with my mom for a little bit. Neil went and stayed with his mom for a little bit. Like we struggled for a little bit, but we ended up pulling it through, and December he got fired. He lost his job because of his addiction, because they knew that he was under the influence. And what I did was I had to stop. I had to back off because I was saving him. I was calling in to his job. I was taking the car keys from him, taking his debit card from him so he wouldn't be able to go. And that was actually helping him to not lose his job, which in turn, he wasn't experiencing any consequences for his actions. And so the moment I stopped covering for him, he lost his job. And the moment he lost his job, it was like a slap in the face that woke him up. And that's when he realized, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want to lose my family. My mom and dad called him. My dad's best friend, who has like 30 years sober, called him. Like, everybody was rallying around him. His mom was, trying to talk to him and help him. My husband does great. He is a great worker, very smart, very kind. He doesn't want to get high. The times when he gets high is when he's struggling with internal things that he doesn't know how to cope with. And so one of the things that he struggles with really bad is the depression, anxiety, and not knowing how to tell people no, not knowing how to handle the stressors of life. And so instead of talking about it, instead of reaching out to me, instead of getting into therapy, any of those things, he did what he always does and relapsed. And so we got him into therapy, and he's doing so much better now. He has a job that he actually enjoys. He gets to work outside. It's not a job that he has to work with the public, so he's not like constantly getting cussed out by customers, and he's like wearing himself out. So he works really hard. He comes home, and by the end of the day, he just wants to relax with me and Nate. And so that's what he needed, you know. And like I told him, I said, I would rather you not have that job and be sober than have that job and die. And I told him this too. I don't care if we're poor. I'll live in a little shanty shack as long as we got electricity, some food in the refrigerator, a room for Nate and all his needs met. I'll go without. I just want you to be okay. I just want you to be healthy. And I love my husband. He's my best friend. We've been through everything together. He is a good man. He takes such good care of me, and he loves Nathaniel so much. And so that was the hardest thing I've ever been through in my sobriety, but we got through it, and it made me stronger, and now I can help other people who have been through that, you know? That's the great thing about, you know, I learned how to be of service to people who have significant others like me who are struggling. And one of the main things I learned is that you cannot keep an addict from reaping the consequences of their actions. If you keep rescuing them, they will continue to make the same mistakes. Just like I had to reap the consequences of my actions by having my son taken away. Just like I had to reap the consequences of my actions by having my car impounded. All the time, going to prison, right? Those consequences eventually, they're going to make you want to, you're going to get to a point where the consequences outweigh the negativity or outweigh the benefits of getting high. Okay, and so those consequences are going to push you into getting sober, and that's what happened for my husband, and that's what happened for me also. The consequences helped me. Oh yeah, I believe in God. God, when my son was born, the only way I can explain it to you guys is that God protected my son, because I was under the influence. I was high when I gave birth. I was using drugs the whole time I was pregnant, and I'm telling you this right now. God protected my son. God delivered my son unscathed, perfect, happy, joyous, great. My son's so well adjusted. He's thriving. He's got a room full of electronics in there, everything a kid could ever want, TV, PlayStations, Nintendo, all kinds of stuff. And he does well in school. He made all A's and B's last year. He's reading well. He's doing math. Like, honestly, I'm so happy. I'm so proud. I am so proud. But yes, God delivered me and my husband from that life, because we were in it. We were in it, and we both didn't see a way out. We're both very good people, very kind, very loving. We always want to help other people, but we did not love ourselves. We did not love ourselves at all. And now we're both learning how to love ourselves. And also the love for our child is what helps us a lot too, because we care so much about the well-being of our son, you know, and that's also what really keeps us going too in the right direction. I don't know if we didn't have Nate, I don't know if we'd be sober because we were both just so wild, you know. But yeah, that's my story. That was a long ass story too, wasn't it? I've been on here for like 3 hours telling y'all this whole story. And you know, I saw a couple people come in and comment, you know, stuff. And, you know, a lot of people might not agree with the kind of stories I tell here on TikTok, but the great thing about it is you can just scroll on by. I tell everything. If I use drugs, I'm going to tell you the story. If I had an experience, y'all are going to know about it. And so people can disagree with me, but there was literally 95 of y'all in here at one point. 100 people in here listening to this story. Come on. Listening to this story. So obviously I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? Obviously y'all wanted to stay and hear the outcome. And so I have to tell you guys what happened so that way y'all will see how far I come. You know what I mean? So where's the split? Where are they at, Nate?
They're in the garage.
Well, come on. Come on. You've been whining the whole night for them. Come on.
Do I have to wear my shoes?
Well, I don't care. So I hate that people want to down me for that. You know, I'm just sharing my truth, you know?
They're in here. And I want a sparkler.
Where are they at?
They're in here. They're in this vat.
What's your question, Faith? Go ahead, baby. Ask your question. I'll open it up. Y'all can ask some questions, but then I got to get off here after that, okay?
Can I show them the
Moon travel. No, that's not it.
Can I show them the fireworks?
Now you understand what, DJ? Now you understand why I tell my stories? Because I got to tell it, you know?
I think those are sparklers.
I am relate to those. Thank you, Heather. I'm really, really happy that y'all can relate. I'm in Arkansas.
Mom, don't we hear sparklers? Or not sparklers?
Everybody knows I'm in Arkansas. I'm in Arkansas, y'all. Tell us about your recovery coaching. Okay, so yes, I do recovery coaching. A lot of people have been talking shit about me because I do recovery coaching, and that's fine. My recovery coaching is $25 a month. It's less than $1 a day. And what I do is we have, for the $25 tier, we have a 1-hour Zoom call and a 20-minute Zoom call and unlimited text and talking on the phone. Ask Micah. I talk to Micah every day. She is one of my...
Is that a sparkler?
I think so.
Yeah, do you want to do a smoke bomb?
She is one of my
Should we do a smoke bomb?
my kids that I coach. Okay, so it's $25 a day, less than $1 a day. Come on, I'm gonna get the no smokers.
Why?
And
It just makes
like I said, we talk on the phone, we text each other. So the first meeting that we have is an hour long where I get to know you. You tell me about what you expect from me, what you want me to help you with, and we set goals. Let the dog out and I'm going to get a lighter. After we set those goals, I give you some homework to do, and then we meet back in 2 weeks to discuss our homework. We do not work the 12 steps, so it's not like a sponsor at all. I mean, if we work the 12 steps, you could call me a sponsor. But no, we don't do the 12 steps because you can do that with somebody for free. This is more than just that. You know what I mean? And also, here's the thing, you guys. There's 89,000 of y'all.
What?
A lot of people, 89,000. A lot of people want to work with me, right? And so the only way that I could help everybody is by putting up a paywall. And so I have a $25 tier, a $50 tier, and a $75 tier. Most everybody joins the $25 tier because it's like, yeah, I help you with anything. We're together. We're doing recovery together.
Okay, can we do smoke bomb? It just creates smoke.
How did I explain to Nate about my addiction? Well, Nathaniel is very smart. And so I just sat him down and I told him that I made some mistakes when he was little and that he had got...
I don't remember that.
You don't remember it at all, do you?
How old was I?
You were 1 year old when you got taken away.
Okay, there's no way I'm gonna remember.
He got taken away when he was 1, so he doesn't remember, but I was honest with him.
You can call me 7.
He's 7, as he turned 7 on the 4th of July. When he got taken away from me, I was devastated, but I always knew that I wanted to be transparent and honest with my son. I never want to lie to him, and I want him to know that he can come to me about anything. Yeah, and so we're going to do 1 package of sprinklers or sparklers. Give me that.
sprinklers.
Are you sure these are the sparklers?
I don't know.
Ask your dad. Ask him if those are sparklers. So, yeah, they might not be, Nate. I've always been honest with him. I have to be honest. So, he's a very, very smart little boy. I don't want to be on it, but I know I wouldn't. What are you on, Faith? I've been on Klonopin several years. I talked to her. Oh, okay. So, Faith, are you overtaking your medication? Or are you running out of it early? That's how you can tell if you have an addiction. If you're just dependent on the medication. Is that a sparkler?
No,
those are bottle rockets. I knew it.
Dad told me
where they are? Okay. It's 9:30. So,
at least it doesn't like shoot
if you're getting high and abusing them, that's addiction. You're just dependent on them. If you need them for your anxiety, then you take them.
Are they these?
No, that's just a, here, move out of the way, Nate. So, some people have to take medication like that, you know, and it helps them. So don't get discouraged.
Can I do a smoke bomb though?
What do you think of naltrexone? I don't really like naltrexone because a lot of people have to wait a long time to get on it. And I don't think it's that effective. I have a lot of kids who have tried to get on it that see Dr. B, and they'll stay on it for a month and then they relapse. And so I don't really, I mean, if you want to get on it, I'll support you. But I don't think it's really effective in helping people with their with their addiction. I think a lot of people relapse because they stop taking the shot. Yeah, Nate, I don't see no sparklers in here.
Big, long, like, purple ones.
I know what they are, but I'm not seeing them, Bubba.
You have them. Can you just do a smoke grenade?
Yes, you can just do a smoke grenade.
Smoke grenade and, should we do...
You could do some poppers, too.
I think we did all of them.
Are they these? No. Yeah, there's none of them in here.
Mom, how is it? Know what they eat?
Okay.
Wait, let me see.
Let me see. Yeah. Oh, they're right here. Lord have mercy. Hold that, Nate.
Oh my God, you're so...
They're right in front of my face. Here.
They were right in front of you.
Hold that and talk to them. Okay?
No, I'm just going to hold it somewhere else.
Okay. Oh, Lord, that was...
This is
so
a view
dumb.
of under my chin.
I'm so dumb. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, kiddo.
It was literally like right in front of you.
Okay. Ready? All right, come.
Are you sure those are sparklers?
I'm sure these are sparklers, yes.
Okay, I want to do a smoke grenade too.
Okay.
Smoke grenade's really cool.
Oh, it's hot as hell out here, Nate.
Is it really?
It's hot, y'all. Okay.
It's hot? No, it's not.
What time is it? Okay.
No, it's not. Can I go wear shoes?
Okay.
I'm going to go get shoes.
He is a good boy. Okay, come on.
I'm going to go get
Here,
shoes.
Nate.
Can I go get shoes?
Yes, you can go get shoes. I'm hot, Nate. I want to go inside. It's hot as hell out here, y'all. It's musty and hot. I guess I can sit in the garage and do it. Because it's hot out here, boy. He's a good boy. And y'all, me and my husband, we work really hard to make sure he has everything. He doesn't even know what it's like to want for nothing. And we love our son dearly. That's why we work so hard. But I want to close up this meeting, but I want you guys to know I work really hard for my sobriety. I have been sober for 6 years in July 13th. I've worked my ass off to stay sober, and I will continue to do that until the day I die. And I just want you guys to know that I'm here for you. If you want to do recovery coaching, hit the link in my bio. Like I said, it's less than $1 a day. I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody. I'm not trying to get over on anybody. That's not the kind of person I am. Okay, I will help you any way I can. If you can't afford to do recovery coaching with me, that doesn't mean that you can't message me here. That doesn't mean that you can't hang out and do these meetings with us and stuff. Let's go away from all this stuff because we don't want to catch it on fire. I forgot.
Okay, can we do
Yeah, that doesn't mean you can't do NA meetings or anything like that. It doesn't mean you can't come and hang out with us. Exactly. And I'm not like trying to take advantage of anybody. I've been doing this for 2 years though. And so if you want to work with me, you can work with me.
Sure
if not, you can go, like I said, to a meeting. What the heck?
What was that? Why did you blow it out?
And also, what we're doing here.
I don't think you're laying on the right side.
Am I not? What we're doing here on Real Talk Recovery is
no, you're not laying
we're actually helping somebody go into sober living. So
lay it on this side.
No, that's the wrong side, buddy. That's the wrong side, I promise. No, I'm a recovery coach, literal life coach. You don't have to be a CDP or whatever that is to be a life coach, honey. And who are you? Because you just came in here, and I've never seen you around before.
Mom, the wrapping.
Oh, I know you. I follow you.
The wrapping
I follow you.
Mom,
I love you. You do the Christmas trees with the names on the balls. That's awesome.
The wrapping's still on it. The plastic.
Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Plastic wrapping.
But yeah, to be a life coach, you don't have to have any kind of CDC or whatever that's called. You don't have to do that. You can do it. Anybody can be a life coach. You could be a life coach.
Yeah, isn't that the wrapping that you're wearing?
No. Oh gosh, let me see. Let me see. Gold bamboo sparklers.
Those are sparklers.
Is this it? Maybe I'm lighting the wrong one. Bring me. So yeah.
Oh yeah, those are sparklers.
I hope that you're not trying to like be rude or anything,
Mom,
because a lot of people
sparklers.
want to come in here and act like what I'm doing is wrong. You can be a life coach. Anybody can be a life coach.
Yeah, those are the sparklers.
Okay.
You said the black and purple one.
Just like anybody can be a sponsor. So.
Yeah, those are them.
Nobody's forcing anybody to do it, okay?
Yeah, those are exactly
No, I've been sober for 6 years. I'm not a counselor. I've just been sober for 6 years. Okay, here we go, Sonny. Here we go. Let's see if it works. Aye!
Yeah!
Okay, here you go.
Light mine.
Take that one.
Wait, why do you just not light
I'm giving you that one. Now, let's see this one. Look, you guys, look.
It's fire.
Look, y'all. Isn't it cool? Hey, go, baby, go, baby, go.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love it. Yeah, let's put these other ones away because we don't want to blow them up and catch us on fire. Oh. Hey, Jordan. I just want y'all to know, like, I'm not doing anything illegal. Anybody can be a life coach. I would never, ever do anything like that to hurt somebody. I'm super duper, like I said, I'm really open-minded. I help a lot of people just for nothing. But some people want to work with me, and that's when I made. That's when I started life coaching. So back in 2000 and oh, good, we got the light on. Back in 2017, when I started my YouTube channel, a lot of people were reaching out to me and asking me, Nicole, we want to support you. How can we support you? And so that's when I started doing the recovery coaching, and I started a Patreon. I don't have my Cash App in my bio. I don't ask for donations. I don't do any of that. If you hire me, I want to give you a service. I don't want to take money from you for free. I don't want to hurt and harm anybody. I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody. I see people here on TikTok who get $500-600 donations, and they're doing nothing. They're not even providing recovery resources. They're not even sharing anything but the problem. And so, you know, I work really hard. People wanted to support me, so I started my Patreon. And that's where I do the recovery coaching at. I have over 300 videos on my Patreon. And if you want to join that, it's $2 to have access to those videos.
These are kind of my favorite fireworks because they look so good at night.
Hey, thanks, Skunk. Love you too, man.
Wait, watch this. When I put it close to here, it's just like sparkler.
Yeah, I mean, I respect that some people use NA. I'll tell you this about my experience is that people in NA have been very, very judgmental and mean to me. But I love AA. No, let it finish up. I love AA though. I love it.
Can I see what it does if I throw it?
I just
Done.
Okay, put it in the water so it'll go out. Here, take this one. Look, y'all. Isn't that beautiful? Here you go. Go, baby. Go, baby. Go.
Look, guys.
You're doing it to not
Look.
get taken advantage of yourself. I can't. Yes, that's true. Yes. Self-isolated.
Look.
Thank you.
Mom, look.
See, what was happening was in 2017, 2018, 2019, I was trying to help people, and I was talking to all these people. I'm talking like 20, 30 girls, right? And what was happening was I couldn't do it anymore. So many people were wanting to do it with me. Here, I'll light it again. It's okay. And I couldn't coach everybody because there was too many people. And so that's when I started the
How are you supposed to light it?
Stop, Nate. Be still. Be still.
My leg itches though. Couch.
That's when I started my Patreon. So I could actually do it because I had to do it. There were so many people reaching out to me. It was unbelievable, you guys.
Smoke bomb is the best.
And the thing about it is, a lot of people don't feel comfortable in 12-step programs, you guys, because they don't believe in God. And whether we like to say it or not, yes, NA and AA are not religious programs. They're spiritual. But there is a heavy influence of God in those meetings. Like here in the South, they say the Lord's Prayer at the end of the meeting. What about somebody who doesn't believe? What about somebody who doesn't feel comfortable? And so that's why I have tried to adopt like a more open-minded recovery groups. You know what I'm saying? That's why I joined Mara, because they don't have... I believe in God, but I know a lot of people don't, you know? What?
This.
I love that sparkler. It looks beautiful. Let me show you how cute he is. That's my boy. Happy 4th. Hey, guess whose birthday's on the 4th of July?
The biggest spider web just got on me.
Whose birthday's on the 4th of July?
Mine.
He was born on the 4th of July. He was born on the 4th of July.
That is the worst spider web that I've ever gone through.
Yep. My son he was literally a firecracker baby. He popped out, pop, pop.
You can have two.
Pop, pop. Just one.
Okay, can I step on it?
Yes, that's how you put it out.
Literally?
Yes, literally. Okay, you want to do a smoke bomb? Is that what you wanted to do next?
Yeah.
Where are they
That
at?
actually works. I have a smoke bomb right here.
Okay.
But the thingy fell out. But we could put it back.
What thingy?
Still.
Okay, where do you...
I know.
Do I light it? How do I do it?
Put it in the middle of the road.
Okay.
Come over here.
I have no shoes on.
We'll put shoes on.
Can you not put it right here? Is it going to spin?
No, it's like, it just creates smoke. We can put it like right here. We can put it like in here.
Okay. God, it's stinky.
There,
Okay, move out of the way.
It's not gonna...
That scared me.
Watch. It's smoke. It's literally just isn't it?
It's thick. I love you, son.
But isn't that kind of cool?
That is very cool.
It's like...
Did any of you guys have any more questions? I'm fixing to go clean myself up. Come on, boy. We got to lock this place up so nobody steals our fireworks. Okay? Whew, it's hot out. Hot. Whew. Sorry, I got caught off guard from that guy. He has like 4.9 million followers, y'all. And he also, that Mr. BCP guy, he has, he does a Christmas tree thing during the holidays. And he decorates his Christmas tree with all these beautiful, beautiful balls, and then puts people's names on the balls. That's where I found him, was during Christmas time last year when he was doing that. So, if y'all have any questions, go ahead and ask me before we go to bed, okay? Because I don't want to leave you guys not being able to answer your questions. I love my son. I pray that your sister gets better too, Micah. We love you, Micah, and we're really proud of you. So, you guys, Micah is someone that I do recovery coaching with. Micah will tell you, she pays the $25 tier, but we talk on the phone almost daily. She's been checking in with me a lot more lately. I'm so proud of her. And we've been just working together. And so I try to do the best I can to really, really help out any way I can.
That's normal day
Okay, I'm gonna shut that garage name. It's hot and that smoke's coming in here. Whew. That was gross. Okay, kiddo, did you have fun? You little chicken nugget. Woo, mercy. She was not calling me like she was supposed to, but now she's been calling me a lot more.
Tomorrow, can we do rest of the flow?
Yes, but it'll have to be dark, son. We can't do it during the night or during the day.
Yes, we can.
Y'all are welcome. I hope y'all enjoyed the story time, okay? I'm sorry it was so long, but I had to tell all of it. I'm going to get off here and go take a shower because I'm stinky now. See y'all tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Central. We got Beast Mode Recovery coming on to share his story.